All right, so this is it's trying times over here.
It's trying times.
This episode, it's been a lot of work. I'm your host, Dr. Casey Rodamore. As always, your other host, Dr. Erin Redwing. And we're here to bring you something very special.
Yeah, we have some pretty groundbreaking research here.
Yeah, this is the primary source document.
Yeah, we have a primary source document. I'm sure we'll post it so that everyone can sort of reference it as required reading before.
Yeah, damn.
Viewing the podcast.
Are they turning the frogs gay?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll get
into it.
We'll get into it.
Yeah, so basically the Spirituality Iceberg is a document created by me earlier this morning on Canva. Wow, this we're taking the sacrament here.
Yeah, the sacrament, the
holy
last
sacrament.
snooze.
Mm-hmm.
The last supper of Jesus Christ. Yeah. These are the very last snoozes from my stash.
It's over after this. This is the end of an era.
Yeah.
Jesus was a mushroom.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah. Give me that. Give me that. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So as you can see, we've really been researching quite extensively.
Yeah.
The reason why we're doing this is because Casey has been more interested in spirituality topics than usual.
It's the Akashic Records.
It's the Akashic Records. The Akashic Records got you hooked. You realized how fun, magical, and whimsical it could be.
Yeah, I mean,
to just engage with these ideas.
It's great.
Even if you don't believe them.
You know?
Usually Casey permits me like an astrology of the upcoming year type episode.
Yeah.
But that's not the only thing that I'm into. Like astrology is like the thing I like believe.
Well, the thing is I'm kind of starting to get astrology too. Like I'm an Aries. I'm the youngest fire sign.
Yeah,
like,
you really are.
A certain somebody is a Scorpio who's evil.
Yeah. You're a Mars-ruled sign.
Somebody else is a Libra. You know, they're just they're the way they are.
This is like you doing astrology subtweets.
Yeah, it's true. I am. Yeah. What's
and someone else is a Leo, and she's your favorite person in the whole world.
It's my favorite person in the whole world, and she's so beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, so beautiful. You know, and every woman who's more attractive than her is a painted whore. Right. And every woman less attractive than her is a busted.
That is the unfortunate thing. Yeah. So yeah, Casey's getting into astrology, he's getting into spirituality topics, but there's so much there. You know, like astrology is one thing. It's like one system.
There's a lot. And then the getting into the Akashic Records,
right,
has opened my eyes to the fact that the Akashic Records were revived from ignominy by the Theosophists.
Mm-hmm.
Ignominy meaning that they were out of fashion. It was an old Vedic concept, and it was kind of recovered by the Theosophists, which were sort of American occultists, right?
I really think of the American occultists, or just the occult movement in general, as being a little bit of like the original people who broke ground on like decentralized spirituality, which I think is the era that we're in, where it's like you kind of just like have access to all this information. You have access to every ancient tome available.
Right.
And you kind of just like figure out like what makes sense, what shows up in multiple religions. It's like comparative religion.
Yeah, true.
You form your theology based off of comparative religion.
Yeah, very true. I mean, like it's like it made me realize that there's systematic things to it. Which are interesting to me regardless of whether I believe in them exactly.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I mean,
and the Theosophists are behind everything. The whole New Age, like kit and caboodle, like they were there like every day, like the whole thing.
They were clocking in.
They were clocking in and locking in and focusing and cooking.
They're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, they're trying to figure it out.
Yeah. No, I think it's great.
I think maybe a background of the Theosophists is good. They were a American sort of occultist group. Some people refer to them as a religion, sometimes no. They didn't think they were a religion. And they synthesized beliefs, and they, as you said, poured over all these old tomes. And the Akashic Records were like a Vedic concept that they were like, no, I think the Akashic Records are like, they're real.
Yeah.
And a certain someone might be stuck there, but we'll get there.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Oh
boy, will we.
Deep in the iceberg.
Yeah, so this is your episode. So like, what is the plan?
So, okay. So I would recommend the readers sort of have the primary source document at hand, although, you know, we'll also be referencing it. I'm sure we'll also splice it in here and there.
I would say print it out.
Yeah, print it out. Maybe you need to take notes.
Yeah,
you know?
What? Oh, you might need to take notes.
You might need to take notes.
Is there, you know, like invisible ink?
Right.
Is there like a hidden like
You're
that can
gonna
be
light that on
revealed?
fire?
No, like with invisible ink that you like reveal it, you know?
Yeah. I
You
think
think-
piss works like that.
What?
I thought you'd think that was funny.
Piss works like that, Erin?
You just gotta write it in piss and then it'll
Erin,
be invisible ink.
Dr. Redwing. This is a professional environment.
Sorry, I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
You're speaking
It's
to
just
Dr.
the smoke from the
Rodamore.
candles and the incense is getting to me.
It's getting to your head. You're gonna start swooning. You're gonna swoon on the Shay over there a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's set up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can forgive you your, indiscretions.
discretion.
Yeah, indiscretions, given I have such a potty mouth
Right.
on occasion.
On occasion.
Yeah, I mean, when I put on those heels, something comes out of
Something
me.
does come out.
That's right. Yeah,
It's
it's Latin heat, guys. It's non-homosexual Latin heat. That's what
right.
comes
You're dancing
out.
with a woman.
Yeah. I'm dancing with a woman. I'm making mofongo. You're miraing mis platanos.
Right.
I'm making mofongo.
I don't know what that is.
It's like a dish that's made with plantains.
Oh, okay.
And then mira mis plátanos, like look at my plantains.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very straight thing when a Latin person does it.
When you make something out of plantains.
Yeah. I mean, there's
You're really working the
you're
plantains.
putting it in somewhere.
Huh?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not a man's butt. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, back to the topic.
Okay, yeah, we're back.
Derailing.
Jesus Christ.
Gee.
Okay.
You're losing the plot.
Yeah, it's getting psychedelic in here.
It is getting psychedelic in here, that's for sure. I think the way to go through this is we start at the top of the iceberg, right? And then we go deeper and deeper. I will say many of the topics relate the further down you go. So like each section is each section
Jesus
is a
Christ.
mix of many things. But then
you know what's making this really psychedelic is I recognize a lot of these.
of course.
And I'm like, it really does get more fucked up. Like I can see the theme
I
here.
put time in. Yeah. I really thought about it.
Yeah, you really did. Yeah.
So I think we should start because there's a lot going on.
Okay, let's go.
Let's
let's
of them
roll.
are related, as I said. So, if I start at the top of the iceberg, this is like above the water, right? This is the part of the iceberg that you see if you're like not delving into the depths.
Yeah, got it.
So that's kind of how I went into this is like the top of the iceberg. I feel like these are kind of like normie spirituality things.
Yeah.
Or they're sort of like, they're things that people might be like for example, pop astrology at the top left.
Yeah.
That's like,
I think top left, pop astrology is the most normie.
yeah. It's like, it's Mercury retrograde. Like, oh, that's why things are fucked up. Or like, I'm a Leo, I'm an Aries,
Mm-hmm.
It's those kind of things. It's like sun sign horoscopes and very basic sort of like, oh my gosh, is Mercury in Gatorade right now? Is that why I feel this way?
Mercury and Gatorade.
Right. So it's like,
is that like a TikTok meme?
yeah. I mean, that's like every time I tweet about astrology, someone's going to reply about Mercury being in
Mercury
Gatorade.
and Gatorade.
And I'm like, guys, watch the video.
Well, no, just tell them which flavor.
Yeah. It's always blue. The blue flavor is
See,
the one I
this
usually
is
go
what
for.
I'm getting like about this crazy bullshit.
Hmm.
Is like you could tell them which flavor Mercury was in Gatorade and it would mean something.
And it would mean something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's all about how you relate to the topic,
Yeah.
So, okay, so pop astrology, that's kind of like,
Oh, by the way, the CO2 in here is through the roof.
bro, our brain capacity is like,
Yeah. Should I open a window?
um,
They won't pick up on the mics.
maybe open a window.
Okay.
Although just be careful.
We've got a lot going on here.
Yeah. No. I'll wait. Okay. So yeah, pop astrology, obviously. No, you're gonna need to look at them. So pop astrology is obviously one. Another one would be like tarot is also in here. I feel like I call it tarot. Yeah, different people say different things. You're not on mic. That's the other thing. You're not
Yeah,
on mic.
my mom called it tarot, I think. The tarot.
So yeah, I would say like pop astrology fits in there. Tarot is kind of similar. Tarot, it's like you could conceivably go to like a millennial corporate party and they might have like a tarot reader there for fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not really engaging with it. It's just like, oh my gosh, I love the pictures.
Sure.
Like maybe this means something to me. Should I break up with my boyfriend? It's like that.
Yeah.
Law of attraction. Also, do you know what law of attraction is?
I've heard it. I went and I visited a jeweler or a diamond seller in New York that I liked and named Carrie. On
Shout out Carrie.
Shout out Carrie. She was into the law of attraction and she had a gold, like a full gold, like a 24 karat gold necklace, like pure gold, which is very soft. They don't usually make jewelry out of that. Very heavy necklace. And she said something about it being related to the laws of attraction.
So the law of attraction and manifestation are actually pretty similar. It's basically that, which is right below it.
Yeah.
It's basically the idea that like you create your reality. And so you attract the vibe that you put out.
Yeah.
So like be positive, for example, is like a common thing. Like don't think negative thoughts about yourself or about other people because you attract negativity into your life.
Yeah.
Manifestation is sort of like just I would say that's like the underlying mechanism. Law of attraction is then like a law that emerges from manifestation.
Oh, interesting. So it's interesting. I see law of attraction as being like people are like, they want what they attract. They want to they want to like have aspects of what they want. This Carrie, her gold necklace, Carrie Levine, I think, I forget. She had this like heavy gold necklace, and she was like, oh yeah, I want this here. I want this close to my heart. I want to like get what it is value and like importance and
exactly weight. Yeah, and I feel like the idea with that is like you manifest your reality. So you want to attract things that you want to attract. You don't want to attract negative things,
right?
So those two things kind of go together. Some other things in here. So shifting, have you heard of shifting? This is like a TikTok thing. It's at the top.
Yeah, no.
Shifting is like the TikTok teens, they like shift into Hogwarts. So they'll be like, oh, I just shifted into Hogwarts and Draco was my boyfriend. Now I have to go to school.
Oh,
Fuck
sure.
my life.
Like, how much do they believe that?
I think it's just kind of like daydreaming.
They were just like mood board daydreaming.
Yeah. But they call it shifting.
Got it. Okay.
That's
cool.
So it's kind of just like, they're just sort of like having fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's kind of cute.
I'd like to shift into Hogwarts.
I would say it gets a little dark because they start to be like, I don't want to live here anymore.
Right.
Like that's where it starts to become like maladaptive daydreaming.
They're trans Hogwarts.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
they're like,
I was
I'm
born
not.
in the wrong place.
Yes, exactly. Yep. So it gets a little dark, but that's like something that like kids do on the internet. Some of these things start to get a little dark, but I feel like they come up all the time, like humiliation rituals and Hollywood Satanists. This is like, if you ever see like Lil Nas X, like baiting Satanism, people are like, oh my God, the Hollywood elites, this is a humiliation ritual that they're putting him through.
Wait, what is, he's being controlled.
Yeah.
What is a humiliation ritual?
Humiliation ritual is basically like the idea that in order to be initiated into the Illuminati or into any sort of like Satanist cult, in this case, like Hollywood Satanist cult, you have to like do something humiliating to show like you're willing to sacrifice your own
image
for the
man.
group.
You've killed somebody.
Yeah.
You know the concept of a made man?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've killed somebody and now you can be trusted.
Exactly. Yeah. You're willing to sort of like sacrifice things for yourself to show affinity with the group.
Is Little Nas's homosexuality a humiliation ritual?
That's what they would say.
He's actually straight.
That's what they say. I think he's gay as hell. But
he's gay as
you know
fuck.
what I mean? Like it's this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Bumblebees levitate and sun, moon, size, and distance. These are two things that I added.
I know bumblebees levitate.
Yeah.
This is, we don't know how bees fly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is like, I feel
this is like the belief that like scientists have looked
don't know everything.
Yeah. And it's actually not true. It's like the science is getting better and better. We have better and better explanations, but maybe like 20 years ago that was true that we didn't know. You can put it on the Summa Theologica by Thomas Aquinas. That's fine. He won't mind.
Which
the blue books. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the Catholic canon. Things like can a madman be baptized? The answer is yes.
Wow.
There's shit in there.
Interesting.
Like every single question that Catholics have had, Thomas Aquinas was like Summa Theologica is like the sum of theology.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's like can a madman be baptized? Can a woman be a priest? Like all these like
right?
The thing is Thomas of Aquinas was pretty smart, and he was a seeker. He was trying to get to the bottom of it.
That's cool.
So he has interesting arguments for why or why not.
It's cool.
Yeah, he's not like, oh no, like, he's like, well, based on this, maybe the answer is no, but it's not like flat no. He's like, here's the scriptures, like, here's what I think is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a seeker.
I put sun, moon, size, and distance on here because this personally to me was a little bit of an awakening. Like the sun is 400 times larger than the moon, but the moon is 400 times closer, and that's why we get total eclipses. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we are the most goated planet in the universe.
Yeah, like it's kind of crazy.
Perfect solar eclipse. You see a fucking solar eclipse on some other planet, you got this dinky ass moon going in front of the sun.
Who cares?
Or the sun is super far away. You got this big ass moon.
Doesn't even matter.
Loafing around.
Yep.
It's just another star going out. Who gives a shit? Here, it's fucking crazy.
It's a little suspicious, don't you think? It's so statistically like crazy.
Yeah,
there's no reason for. I guess the point is there's no reason for it.
I have an unfortunate like answer to this.
What's your answer?
Well, my unfortunate answer is that yes, that individual thing is very statistically unlikely. But as we go throughout our day, we witness many, many different things.
Mm-hmm.
And the likelihood that one of those things that we notice is statistically unlikely is actually very likely.
But the sun and the moon are like the most major bodies in the sky.
It doesn't matter. Like we're witness, they're literally like billions and billions of like facts.
Mm-hmm.
Like billions, like uncountably many, like the size of this, the size of that, the size, blah, 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 blah. And so when you see a coincidence, you zoom in, it's very unlikely. And you're like, oh my God, that's 1 in a million. But it's like you actually witnessed like a million facts. And if you witness a million facts every day, the statistical probability is that one of them is going to be a 1 in a million likelihood.
Well, that kind of leads into angel numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Because angel numbers is a similar thing where it's like you see 333 or you see 111.
I mean, we were just doing the levels on the Zoom, and we do sixes because that is right.
666.
And it's actually, it's 666. It's your mic is 6, my mic is 6, and the XY mics or the LR mics are 6.
Really make think.
But that, again, like the thing is like how many numbers do you see over the course of your day?
Mm-hmm.
So many, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let me be a little bit open-minded. You know,
there we go.
You know, we have a Mulder and Scully kind of vibe from the X-Files.
Oh yeah.
And I'm actually Scully and you're Mulder.
I am, yeah.
Because Mulder's like the truth is out there, like, and every little thing is a sign, and Scully is like, no, like I'm a scientist, you know. And Scully is the one who would say, look, if you see 1,000 numbers over the course of your day, right?
Yeah.
1,000. Mm-hmm. The chances that one is 666 is like, I don't know if it's 50%. I mean, I'd have to do the combinatorics. I have a book on combinatorics there. This won't help me at searching and sorting, but she would say, look, it's like even odds that every day you see 666
right
somewhere in the numbers.
Yeah.
Like I see this I notice the first 3 digits of my childhood telephone number. More rarely I see the last 4 digits of my childhood telephone number, or I see the first 3 digits of my social security number, right? Mm-hmm. But if I see and notice and I'm paying attention to 1,000 numbers a day, that's actually a likely occurrence.
So the idea, you know, if you put it into spirituality terms, is like this is you honing your intuition, right? You notice these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it's like you start to notice more and more.
Yeah. Well, and this is where
the undiagnosed schizophrenia starts to
oh yeah,
out,
well,
you know?
I mean, you know, from my framing, what it would be is that there's actually a lot of deep wisdom in all of this. All of these things encode 1 or 2 bits of information in this fuzzy way, right? And if you pay attention and start understanding those 1 or 2 bits of information, it's like it's very fuzzy, it's very loose, but there's little bits in there, and you read enough of this shit. I mean, this is people like scribbling for millennia, right? And if every little scribbler is finding like 1 or 2 bits from the divine and encoding it, and you're starting to put the pieces together, you're picking up what they're throwing down. Like you're going to get pretty deep in the iceberg before you know it. How many bits is a Bitcoin like fucking seed phrase?
I don't know how many.
It's 128 bits. A 12-word seed phrase is 128 bits. You put together
it's a lot of bits.
100, but I mean 128, that's not a big number. You read 128 books, you've got a whole seed phrase in there.
That's so true.
Yeah, so true, King.
Yeah, I didn't even put, seed phrase. I didn't put anything related to Bitcoin on here.
The CO2 is way down.
Okay, yeah, now our brains are starting to function.
Yeah, we're sharp again. We're sharp again.
What else is on here? Humiliating. I'll talk about.
By the way, we have a clock here, so we can keep track of time. Okay,
good. Yeah, we can go for 4 hours. That's how long we have on our SD cards.
I mean, we might need it.
We really might need it. So, okay, some of the things I haven't talked about yet. Fluoride. I put fluoride here because I feel like fluoride is also very like normie, getting into like decalcify your pineal gland.
Totally.
Like,
my pineal gland is rattling in there like a marble.
Yeah, exactly.
Where is it?
It's right here. It's your third eye, bro.
Oh yeah, I'm like.
Yeah. You need to be like.
Oh yeah, you want it loose.
You want it
You want
it supple.
What's the fluid in your joints? The synovial fluid.
Yeah, I don't know. I know in your brain it's like cerebral spinal fluid.
Yeah, you want that pineal gland just rolling around in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want it loose.
Yeah, you want it loose.
Lubricated.
Yeah. But this is like fluoride makes sense because it gets into it's like normie health concerns.
Mm-hmm.
You're a mom. You want your kids to be healthy. You've drunk tap water your whole life. And then all of a sudden, people's minds really change when they have kids. Like I remember my dad said that once he had kids, he just drove much slower because he would look around at the people on the street. He would think, oh, there's somebody's kid. I should really take care. So you get this psychological, you get your like third eye starts to expand
Totally.
when you're a mom. And then you are like, okay, like, well, we're drinking this tap water. I've been drinking it my whole life, but there's fluoride in it. Like maybe it's calcifying my kid's pineal glands.
Exactly.
I really like when I can tell that something is landing with you. You're like, oh yeah, definitely.
You're speaking my language. I really like it. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
I mean, this also kind of is similar to their turning the frogs guy.
My psychiatrist is going to see this episode and be like, man, that boy's brain is cooked.
Maybe Erin's not a good influence.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, they're turning the frogs gay. This was a study done by actually a UC Berkeley professor. So it was basically
a little bit of He's jacking the frogs off?
No. No. That's how you would do the study, huh?
Well, it's a scientific method.
Right.
Listen, I'm an old school transvestite, okay?
Yeah.
Before they made it, gay, okay?
Right, yeah. We're not even at the first level.
We haven't even made it to the first level. Yeah, okay. Let's speed this up.
But you're familiar with they're turning the frogs gay, right? Like I think the reason why I put this at the top of the iceberg is because I feel like
Alex Jones folk music, they're turning the frogs gay is a classic.
I feel like they're turning the frogs gay is this like precursor to Alex Jones was right about everything.
Yep.
People love to say that. They're like, oh, like we didn't listen to him. The further you go, like he's said many of these things.
Yeah, right. Alex Jones is he's a really interesting character. And I think he's very interesting. His position in the culture is very interesting. Did you see was it Waking Life?
Oh yeah. And he's like the preacher or whatever.
He's driving and he's like being Alex Jones and he's saying all the things that he still says. But over the years, he's gotten polarized into a right-wing figure.
Yeah. Well, a lot of this has gotten polarized into right-wing. You know what I mean? Like there's this association between like not trusting the elites, not trusting the people in charge. And so like you go down this rabbit hole. Like a lot of this bleeds into like QAnon.
Right.
Yep. But I think they're turning the frogs gay. Like he was right. Like they're turning the frogs gay.
That's
like
right.
He was proven. You know what I mean?
Xenoestrogens.
Like, yeah, exactly. That's why I also connected it to the fluoride thing.
Yeah, I mean xenoestrogens are interesting. I think the receipt thing that there's estrogens in like receipt paper is like actually like kind of bullshit. Like you just can't absorb enough in your fingers for it to make a difference. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't a possibility that should be explored.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, well, okay, there's xenoestrogens in this. Like when I say xenoestrogens, this isn't like a made up concept. Xeno just means outside or foreign. Estrogen, it might not be actual estrogen, but it's estrogenic compounds. And like, okay, somebody's got to measure that. They've got to measure the rate of absorption that it's going through your skins. Like it's a possibility. And in this case, I don't think that it really holds water, but like, yeah, like what do I know?
But the water was turning the frogs gay, and that was an important thing.
What was it? What was the chemical?
I don't know. I think basically it was an observational study where he was looking at like rates of homosexuality in frogs and like more.
Alex Jones?
No, the Berkeley professor.
Yeah, I know. I was fucking with you.
Well, he was at least talking about it.
Yeah, right.
He was looking at like more or less contaminated water.
Yeah.
And he found like more homosexual frog behavior in more contaminated water.
This is an interesting recurring theme, which is that you have academia, which is like total bullshit and is like fucking stupid and is looking at all the wrong things. I mean, where's the tarot card for that?
For academia?
Yeah. It's like
the tower collapsing.
No, I'm thinking like
this is like institution. It's like the ivory tower.
In this case, I'm actually thinking the Fool, like looking in the wrong direction or something.
No, the Fool is like always divinely guided.
Ah, I see.
The nice thing about the Fool is like the Fool just needs to follow his path and not worry about it.
Yeah, so I guess
law of attraction.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? He's a good vibe, so he's fine.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking of the looking in the wrong place because the light is better. Like they're just looking in the wrong place. But then sometimes you get an academic who's a seeker and they uncover something that winds up being a politically inconvenient truth.
Yeah.
And like, this academic had probably had no stake in the culture war either side, or he was like he or she was like a liberal, right?
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh shit, I do this observational study, the frogs are gay now. But then this is like a politicized thing. Like then it's like either side can like latch onto it in some way in a very fluid way.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the way that people would latch onto this is like, oh, this is like right wing like propaganda that like the frogs are turning gay and that's bad, you know, or
Yeah.
you know, yeah. So do you remember in the early days of COVID that wearing a mask was actually right wing coded?
Oh yes, I do.
Yeah. And then it like shifted. It was like, oh, it's xenophobic because it was like you're suggesting that like the Chinese people like gave us the flu, you know, and then it shifted and then wearing a mask was like left wing coded.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people don't control how the inconvenient truths they uncover are going to become polarized.
So true, King. So true.
Yeah. I love it when you say so true, King. You know it. I think that's why you say it.
Obviously. I mean, Younger Dryas Impact fits into that too, because basically Younger Dryas Impact is like an inconvenient truth in like geology, where like basically for those who are unaware, I also put this here because I have a lot about Atlantis the further down we go.
Yep.
And that's like, I feel like Younger Dryas Impact is like the first, like, if you're like a Joe Rogan, I mean, Joe Rogan's actually relatively spiritually, like he'll entertain spiritual ideas, but Younger Dryas Impact, like that is basically the theory that there was like a major impact around like 12,000, 13,000 years ago that
wiped
caused
out an
like
earlier
major
civilization.
Right. Caused major, like it's uncontroversial. It caused major disruption, caused major floods.
12,000 years ago.
The question is, did it wipe out a civilization that's been lost to history?
This is a very common like meme that humans, there were civilizations that were more advanced that we didn't know about. This can take many forms. This can take the form of there were magical civilizations. There were highly technological civilizations. As a child, I think I found this idea very appealing. It's the idea that you're going to go, you know, meet some hermit somewhere who's going to give you like ancient wisdom that is actually like incredibly powerful. That was passed on for like that predates the Younger Dryas Impact. That was common knowledge in that civilization.
What was in the Library of Alexandria?
I mean, was the Library of Alexandria moved lock, stock, and 2 smoking barrels into the Akashic Records?
Yeah, we would hope so.
We would hope so.
We would hope so.
So hopefully somebody was there scanning the books, you know, and uploading them.
Uploading them to the cloud.
Exactly.
I mean, I think the Younger Dryas Impact, like the idea, well, not that impact theory, but just the idea of like a past civilization being advanced, it's also very humbling. Like, I do think there's like an element of like, there's a hubris to think that we are like the dead end of history and history is like constantly progressing in a certain direction. I think it's nice to imagine that like there are cycles to this and like we are not necessarily the most advanced civilization that's ever existed, or that an advanced civilization could have existed in a very different way. Yeah.
And this is true. There are grains of truth to this. So, for example, the that mechanism, I think it's called the Ankara mechanism.
I don't know it.
It's this weird thing. It's like it's an artifact. It's very like fucked up. It's like clearly like very corroded, but a lot of the ways that it was made is anachronistic, out of time, in the sense that it was like too advanced. It was like
doesn't fit the like progress that we had at that time.
We like very
whatever the knowledge that they had at that time, as far as we know.
Very fine metalworking techniques. There's actually, I think, an Australian guy who's a machinist, and he has a YouTube channel where he's recreating this mechanism piece by piece as they could have done it.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's like he gets into crazy shit. He's like these like very pre-CNC, pre-computer numeric controlled milling machine techniques for making things. Like, do you know how a lens is ground? It's crazy. Like, it's so low tech. It's this process where you like lap it against a flat surface.
Oh yeah.
And you don't have, you're in like year 1200. You don't have a flat surface to make a flat surface, right? So you have to come up with all these tricks of how do you move 2 objects together and they'll like make each other flat. And I think that in the modern era, we look at these things, the pyramids of Egypt, this mechanism, lenses that were made a long time ago. There was this astronomer that made these very, very fine lenses that we have no fucking clue how he made them. He made these amazingly small lenses that were like very powerful, that were like he was fucking insane. He was this Dutch guy, and he made these mechanisms. He was the first person to put semen under a microscope. And he wrote to the Royal Academy in London that there were like wiggling things in his sperm. And they were like, this dude is a nutcase.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's some guy at the Royal Academy of London who was like, yeah, some of this kind of checks out. And he would write them these insane rambling letters. He eventually got accepted as a fellow into this like Royal Academic Society. And it's because he was making these microscopes that were way ahead of the time. We still don't know how he made all of this stuff. And he saw all this stuff for the first time. Like I'm connecting this with all this like weird scientific knowledge I have. Do you know why they're called cells?
Mm-mm.
Cells in the human body?
Mm-mm.
Because somebody looked at them under a microscope and they thought they looked like a monk's cell. Yeah, like the small room that a monk would live in.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyways,
it's also beautiful. See, don't you know? It's like
it's fun. Now I'm seeing. I'm starting to see how I'm making a lot of connections.
You're making a lot of connections.
That's right.
The pineal gland is uncalcifying.
It's uncalcifying. That's
Absolutely.
right. Yeah. Well, that's why it's important that I have delicious Waterloo sparkling water on hand.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sure this stuff is like it's purified carbonated water.
Yeah,
the more I drink, the more my pineal gland uncalcifies.
Absolutely.
Give me a so true king.
So true. Okay, the final thing that's at the top, because we should keep going. This one I just want to say twin flames. Okay, are you familiar with the concept of twin flame? This was more just like a lesson and a warning.
Yeah, there was a NFT artist who was a photographer who made this collection of one of the first and most famous NFT photographers. He made a collection called Twin Flames, which was of twins.
Okay, that's not the idea of twin flames that I had.
Oh, okay.
So twin flames are basically this idea of like your soulmate. You know what I mean? Like you meet someone and you're like, oh my God, this is my twin flame. This is the Romeo to my Juliet. This is the person I'm supposed to be with.
Got it.
You know?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be with your twin flame. Your twin flame will destroy you, guys. Okay. This is like real ones. No. We're getting into soul contracts later. But twin flames is something that I often see come up where people are like, oh, he's my twin flame. Like, I want to meet my twin flame. Can you give me a reading on how to meet my twin flame? No. I'm not telling you how to do that. You don't want to do that.
Do you not even want to meet them?
So I think the idea of a twin flame is basically like that your soul is incomplete, you know, and you meet this person who's like the other half of your soul.
Yeah.
And like maybe some of us are destined to do that, you know, like maybe that is the thing that's written into the contract. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. You don't want that. I guess that's my point is it's like you don't want to seek that out. Bro, we're not even, you know, this is like starting to get into it.
Yeah,
you know?
We've made it through the first, like, this might have to be a two-parter. Like, we'll see. We'll see.
No, we'll get there.
I don't know. I mean, we could leave the set and go on our little trip and come back and then do the second part. It's an option. I'm just saying. So, you know, I just wanted to say that just as like, I feel like twin flames is something I often see people talk about that I think they don't know what they're saying. Yeah. You know what I mean? You don't want that. They don't understand the power and the danger. And the danger. Yeah. Ultimately, it's like, it's a destructive force. Yep. And some people would say it's like a purposeful distraction from like higher spiritual evolution. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I would go that far. I think maybe there's some people that just that's written into that's written into the karma for them this lifetime. And they're going to have to learn that lesson from somebody else. But it's like twin flames are not good. Yeah, guys. You're really. I'm hearing an intensity in your voice. Have you met your twin flame? No. It's not like that. Like I've never had this experience. I don't think that's like my. That's okay. I mean, we could get actually into the lower level here with soul contracts in the next tier. Okay. So my understanding of the way that Jesus Christ, these sort of things Shasta work. Lemurians, like. We're only on the second tier. Only on the second tier. This is okay. So I'm going to name the tier. It's alpha, beta. Do you want alpha, beta, gamma? Sure. Delta. I don't know what the next Greek letter. Or we could do the NATO phonetic alphabet. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, ABC, Delta, ABC, D, E, Echo. Okay. Yeah. So we're on the Bravo/beta tier. Bravo beta tier. That's right. Soul contracts. This is my understanding of how these things work. So you come into this realm, your soul comes into this realm, and you have certain agreements with other souls. Okay. Your agreement might be a twin flame, but I don't think that's like a good agreement to want
It's not like the highest ideal of a soul, because it means that your soul is like not complete in and of itself. You need another person to be complete. It's not a good thing, right?
Got it.
But I think you do have soul contracts where it's like smaller agreements. Like, I need to have this experience with this person to learn this lesson. I need to get like my karma paid back to me in X, Y, or Z way. I think we have a soul contract, for example. I think I came into your life right at the right time. You know what I mean?
Okay, what's our soul contract?
I don't know.
This is the first time hearing of it.
No. I've told you this before.
Have you?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, for sure.
Probably just, I wasn't ready to hear it.
You weren't ready? Yeah, now you're ready.
No, I'm ready.
No,
I'm not ready, but I'm hearing it.
Yeah. But I think like soul contracts can be very simple. Like, they can be just a person. If you think about like people that came into your life and they were like very important to you for a small period of time and then they left. Like, I think that's an example of something that could be like a soul contract, where it's like you needed to learn a lesson from them. They needed to be there for a certain part, but it's not like you're just vibing like, oh, I love this friend. It's more like you're fulfilling an agreement with them.
I have had one experience. Sieb Honeybee Jackson, if you're out there, I'm not making that up. Who I met, and he was like just kind of finding his way in the world, and I encouraged him to be a programmer. And he took it up, and he did really well. He became a programmer. He went to hacker school. He was a programmer. He went from like not being a programmer to being a programmer. And I think my encouragement of him was really important, you know? And for me, it was just like a random occasion. I was in a hostel, I think in like Asia somewhere, when we met and we started chatting, and I was just like, oh yeah, you could definitely be a programmer, you know? And then like, yeah, so maybe I didn't even know what role I was playing, you know, in his life. So yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, you know? Like, I feel like I literally met you when you started working on ordinals. Like, that just seems pretty weirdly timed, don't you think?
Yeah.
And then we became like very central figures in each other's lives.
Yeah,
like pretty quickly.
Yeah, this is getting psychedelic.
It's getting a little psychedelic.
It's getting very psychedelic.
So I personally believe we have a soul contract, but I think a healthy soul, like, you know, an ideal soul comes in with like a handful of soul contracts. It's not like one person that's supposed to complete you.
Yeah,
like a soulmate is like not the vibe.
It's right time, right place. The soul contract can be fulfilled by somebody like I remember these experiences of incredible kindness, just momentary experiences of incredible kindness. I dropped out of high school, and then I wanted to not have to go to high school. And so I took the CHESP, which is like the GED, but it's Californian. It's for California, and nobody's heard of it, so that I wouldn't have the legal requirement to go to high school when I was 16. And I remember I walked all the way to this testing thing in like Oakland, in like some park in Oakland. And then on the way back, I walked for so long. I had to walk for like an hour and 20 minutes or something. I had no idea how long it was. And there was a corner store, and I stopped at the corner store, and I wanted like water, but I didn't have any money. And like I asked the guy at the corner store if he could have some water, and he was like, yeah, of course. And he filled up this like big glass of water for me. He gave it to me. Like, I drank it. He gave me another one. It might have been like a mug that he had in the back. And I was like, man, thank you. That hits the spot. And he was like, no problem. And then I kept walking home.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it could be very small things.
Yeah.
You know, it could be big things. It could be small things. It's a beautiful thought, I think. Yeah. That like, this is also where I didn't put it on here, but like, you know,
damn. We're close.
Oh,
we passed it. Yeah. In the good direction.
In the good direction. I think also the idea of like knowing people from past lives, that's where it comes in a little bit as well. It's like, you know, maybe like I fucked you over in a past life, and now we've reincarnated, and now I have to like pay that karma back to you in this life. It's like stuff like that. Like it can be negative stuff. It can be positive.
Oh, a soul contract can be negative.
It's agreements. It's any sort of contract.
Right.
You know, you have an agreement with another person to do a certain thing.
A pound of flesh.
A pound of flesh.
I mean, look how I'm, you know, I got it going on.
You're yarmulked up.
Yeah, like Shylock. Yep. All right.
This also kind of ties into outer planet / evolutionary astrology. So, you know, pop astrology being at the top tier, that's like sun sign stuff, like horoscopes, Mercury retrograde. Outer planet / evolutionary astrology. So the outer planets were only discovered in the last like 100 to 200 years. Yep. And with that,
they were just too small to see. Too small, not bright enough.
Yep. Yeah, we didn't have good enough lenses, actually.
Indeed, yeah.
So part of like the outer planet mythology and lore has been, I mean, all of it basically has been created in the last 1 to 200 years.
Right.
So a lot of it has tied into like what you're talking about with like this theosophists and stuff.
Yeah.
It's more like new agey. It's a little bit more like soul level kind of, incorporating those sort of ideas.
Well, yeah, it's ideas whose time had come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so like, evolutionary astrology is a branch of astrology. I'm not like trained in it, but I like it. I like the people that practice it.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's more about like looking at past life stuff. It's more about looking at like what's the karma that you brought into this life and how do you need to deal with it, and like how can you identify people that align with that, or that like are maybe a part of that for you.
Yeah.
So, I feel like this is where it gets into like deeper, like, if I was giving someone a reading, for example, like I would tell them like, oh, this is your sun, moon, and rising, because it's like information that people like to know for like conversational astrology. But if I really wanted to get into like, what is it that you need to do, or like, what is it that you're here to do?
Yeah.
That's where I start to get into like outer planet stuff and evolutionary stuff.
It's just more helpful for certain questions.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more about like soul purpose kind of stuff.
Got it.
So it's just a little deeper.
How does it differ from older astrology?
So older astrology only went out to Saturn.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit more like daily transits.
Yeah.
Like, oh, here's the weather for today, essentially.
Yeah. Well, that's also what the people developing it would have cared about.
Yeah.
Like, and also like they like the planet was, the nature was very alien to them. They didn't know how anything worked. They had all these crazy theories about the body and humors and the ether and, all this stuff. And like, they thought it was just platonic solids, like rattling around everywhere. And so they needed practical advice. When is the sun going to rise? When is the sun going to set? When should we plant the crops? When should we harvest the crops? When is a good time to have a child? Like what is the personality of people who are born under different signs? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And now we're kind of looking at things more like, when does a civilization rise and fall?
Yeah, right. Yep.
So yeah, just it gets a little bit deeper. I think it gets a little more crazy. Oh my God, the things in this tier are so fucking crazy.
So Starseeds is really interesting to me because
Are you familiar with Starseeds?
No, but I played a really old game on the Macintosh, which was quite good, and it had a quite interesting aesthetic. It was a Mac classic game, so it predated Mac OS X. This is like 1992 or something, 1994. And it was a game called Starseed, where you explore this large alien spacecraft. I believe that it was based on a sci-fi novel. And that the title of the game was Starseed. Yeah.
The idea of Starseeds is basically, oh my God, it's like going to get so off the handle here.
Let's just do it.
So Starseeds.
I'll tell you if it gets too psychedelic for me.
Starseeds basically is this idea that some souls that are here are not like from here. Like, it's not like you're a human who's like been doing the soul thing over and over and over again. You're like a soul from some other star system, some other planet. You're kind of like an alien energy, and you've been seeded here to accomplish a certain mission. In sort of like the starseed lore, starseeds think of themselves, or people think of starseeds as being like, their goal is to like ascend human consciousness. Like, they're here to like bring up the vibe.
Are
basically.
they here to help?
Yeah, they're here to help.
Can there be dark starseeds?
Well, I think all of this has a little bit of a dark undertone personally, because I think there's a bit of spiritual narcissism in it, to think like, I'm a starseed.
Right.
Like, how do you know anyone's a starseed?
Yeah, but there are people who are starseeds.
Right.
Yeah, it's
so
interesting.
It's like a little bit like, I don't know. I'm very wary of people that identify as starseeds, which they do. Lots of them do.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of bizarre.
It's a bit messianic.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm here with this like higher evolved consciousness to help all you idiots here on Earth.
Right. Yeah.
But starseeds.
Oh, did you know that I paid for these in Bitcoin?
No, that's awesome.
And I was very strict about it. Mendy, one of my rabbis, one of my two rabbis, he was like, he wanted me to get these. They're tefillin. They're phylacteries. They contain bits of the Torah in there. They're very beautiful. And I was like, they're kind of expensive. He always wants me to be more Jewish. So I just kind of made up some conditions under which I would get one. And I was like, I want to pay for it in Bitcoin. And I don't want to pay you in Bitcoin and you pay the guy who's selling them. I want to pay the guy who's selling them in Bitcoin. I was actually a little bit disappointed. I wanted to pay the scribe, which is a trained role in Judaism, who made these in Bitcoin. But I believe that I was paying like a middleman in Bitcoin. But that's
the way of the world.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. This might be the only pair of tefillin that were paid for in Bitcoin in the world.
Let us know in the comments if that's
yeah. If you paid for your tefillin in Bitcoin, like and subscribe, and if you paid for your tefillin in Bitcoin, please comment and tell us, how many sats you paid for them.
Yeah. See if in case you got a good deal.
The other thing that's weird about Judaica is just the term for like this is Judaica, this is Judaica. Any ritual object that Jews get is Judaica, and the quality metrics are very weird. Like, I was like, oh yeah, I want to get really nice ones. Like, I bet that the really nice ones have really nice leather, and actually, the really nice ones, the really expensive ones, sometimes they're expensive because the hesher is really good. The hesher is the level of like rabbinical and halakhic strictness under which they were constructed. So, matzah.
Yep.
You ever had those like really authentic matzah that are like round?
Yeah.
And they're burnt. They're like burnt, they're dry, but that's the point. Like, so you might pay a lot for matzah, like super authentic matzah, and you're like, these don't taste good. And it's like, yeah, that's the point. They were produced to remind you like the circumstances under which the Jews fled from Egypt. So these actually are really, really, really nice leather, like about as nice as you can get. And I was initially a little bit turned off because they look like patent leather, like patent leather shoes.
Yeah.
Which used to be very high quality, but has become like low quality. They're associated with like cheap, like pleather, like shoes. But these are actually incredibly fine leather straps made under a very high quality hesher, like somebody who really knew what they were doing.
You jumped the gun. This is Saturn Cube. This is the fourth tier.
We can't keep going to the Alpha, Bravo, ABC, Delta, Gamma. Wait, where are we?
Saturn Cube. Saturn Cube. This is
Alpha, Delta, Bravo, Golf, A, B, C, D, Delta. Yeah, okay, this is the Delta tier. We're not there yet.
Yeah, you skipped, you jumped the gun.
Yeah, okay,
on the
sorry.
tefillin. That's Saturn Cube shit.
Yeah. I mean, these are maybe some of the most ritually powerful objects that we've ever constructed.
I mean, the Saturn Cubes are everywhere once you start seeing them.
Okay, all right. I mean, the Jews, and I'm one, would disagree that a Saturn Cube is involved.
I don't know that they would. We have to get there. Let's get there.
Okay, we'll get there.
Okay, so whatever. Starseeds are kind of spiritual narcissists. It's a bit weird, but I kind of understand what they're saying. Mount Shasta Lemurians. This is getting into like Atlantis stuff.
Who are the Lemurians?
So basically, the two major races at the time of the fall of Atlantis were the Atlanteans and the Lemurians.
Yeah,
there were some other ones.
As everybody knows.
There were some other ones, like Hyperborea is like kind of like, that's what like the Nazis were seeking out, were like the Hyperboreans.
Right. It was the like originators of the Aryan German race or something.
Yeah, the Hyperborea was supposed to be kind of like, I think like the Arctic Circle, like very far north.
I mean, did you know that Hitler was like deeply into the occult?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's all up in here.
Yeah. My mom wrote a book called Heidegger's Glasses, which is about a group of, during the Third Reich, the Hitler decides that Hitler or his occultists or whatever have decided that by rounding the Jews up and sending them to camps, they've left a huge, weird spiritual hole in the world. The Jews are this very like ritual people. There's doing all these things, and like that might be bad for the Third Reich, right? Think about it. You've got people who are wrapping tefillin every single day, walking around in tefillin. They're yarmulke up, okay? They've got their tzitzis like down here, the little like you would recognize if you see them, the little strands that sometimes you see. Like it's an undergarment that Orthodox Jewish men wear. And he's like, all right, this is a problem. We can't keep rounding these people up. Things are going to turn against us. Like the void is going to it's going to rip open and swallow us all. So we need to have echte Juden, which are authentic Jews, which are allowed to live in this like compound as Jews. They're allowed to wrap tefillin. They're allowed to wear their yarmulkes, right? To counterbalance this like rift that we've created, or avoid like the rift like tearing open.
Sounds like your mom gets it.
Oh yeah, she does. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no question. I mean, she had the Rider-Waite Tarot around. I think she's an ordained Buddhist monk. Zen Buddhist monk. She certainly would know about astrology. Like, yeah, you know.
Yeah, she's tapped in.
Yeah, she's tapped in. Yeah.
To
something.
Right, to something. To something.
Yeah.
I mean, Hyperborea is basically, that was like the kind of like mythical Aryan land and people that like the Nazis were seeking. The Lemurians are sort of related. The Lemurians were kind of like, so I would say like the dominant races at the time of the fall of Atlantis, according to sort of the New Age spirituality.
Yes.
Were the Atlanteans who lived in this like very advanced society, but was also very hubristic.
Mm-hmm.
Like they kind of got technology too quickly.
Classic, yeah. What were they called?
Atlanteans.
I see.
So the Atlanteans were like, and in ways it's like, you know, you see the mythology of our time relating to this, and that's why people like bring up Atlantis so much, is that it's like the Atlanteans
I'm
got...
looking at the next tier and it contains Jesus was a mushroom, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for this.
You'll get there.
Okay.
The Atlanteans basically got too advanced technology that didn't match their spiritual evolution.
Yeah.
Some say the Galactic Federation Council gave it to them.
Yep.
And that's part of why we have the deal with them that we do now.
Yep.
But basically the Lemurians were more like earthy. They were more like, no, this is like out of balance with the spiritual world. We can't be like using all this advanced technology without realizing the consequences that it could fall to us.
Yep.
Mount Shasta is where it's rumored that the Lemurians
Wait, sorry,
went.
who are the Lemurians?
Lemurians are basically just a race of people that were like, Atlantis is hubristic. They're like doing things that aren't spiritually evolved.
They lived elsewhere?
Yeah, they were more like of the earth. Atlantis was more like
Where
a seafaring
were they?
people. More like in the mountains, for example.
Does this have to do with the sea people?
No. Sea people are unrelated.
Okay.
But like
they seem pretty related.
But if you look like, so Plato's myth of Atlantis describes them as like a like seafaring people. That like Atlantis was this like port city.
The
Atlantis was this like
people,
port city,
and
basically.
the Lemurians lived in the mountains.
Yeah.
Did they live in the mountains on Atlantis or elsewhere?
Elsewhere,
on Earth?
like they were more connected to Earth. They were more like, guys, like we shouldn't be doing all this stuff without like the necessary spiritual precautions.
Right.
And the idea is that the Lemurians are the ones who survived the flood.
Yeah.
Because they were in higher grounds.
Yeah. Right.
So the Atlanteans were wiped out.
Yeah.
And the myth is that in Mount Shasta, there's still a colony of Lemurians. And so if you talk to like crazy hippies at Mount Shasta,
I have a child.
They have Lemurian sightings. Like they'll be like, I've seen them.
I have a childhood friend who has a cattle ranch up there near Mount Shasta.
You should ask about the Lemurians. I'm sure he knows. I'm serious. It's a big thing up there.
Damn, that's crazy. I went up there and like woke up at the crack of dawn, and we drove a open back like truck around, and like I like rolled bales of hay off the back at like 5:30 in the morning. I was very tired.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Might have been good for you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, I lived like a farmer for a day. I woke up at like 5 a.m. and like fed the cows, and then we like hung out, and then we went and like shot 22 rifles at like, you know, plinking plates.
That's cute.
Yeah.
What else in here?
I mean,
CERN. I mean, CERN is also classic, kind of like CERN ripped a hole in the universe, or they're like trying. Like, I feel like CERN, the reason why I put it in this tier is because I think CERN is like when people talk about like the hubris of Atlantis, where like they were just like trying things that they didn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
They were using technology that they weren't like spiritually evolved to integrate.
Yeah.
CERN is like what people point to. It's like, why are you trying to like clash all these tiny particles together to like create a black hole?
Yeah, I mean, that was part of
Isn't that like a human concern?
That was part of the news cycle, right? People were like, CERN is going to smash the tiny particles together so hard that there's going to be like a micro black hole that's going to expand and it's going to destroy the Earth.
Yeah.
And physicists were like, yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. And
but that's like that's a little bit of hubris right there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, you know, we're kind of repeating Atlantis themes.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the people that are hardcore Atlantis believers, or you know, these like soul reincarnation people, believe that there's a lot of Atlantis souls here that are like redoing their karma.
In the Bay Area.
Well, definitely in the Bay Area. For sure.
Who is the CEO of a certain platform that we use that is probably a Atlantean?
Oh yeah, Elon Musk, definitely. There's some shit going on there.
100%. Yeah. He's tasteless. He's like a fucking idiot. He doesn't understand what he's doing, you know? Yeah,
this is the thing. It's like the Atlantis was hubris, and the Lemurians were more about like spiritual evolution.
Right. Yeah.
And they're the ones that ultimately survived.
The Lemurians.
Well, in theory, they're in Mount Shasta.
Oh, but
which might go down to the Hollow Earth, which we get into the next year.
Yeah. Who are we?
We are like descendants of like, I think the idea, well, okay, it's like many people might correct
It's
me on this,
controversial.
but I think part of the idea is that
The
like
idea that people might correct you.
people might correct me on this.
You might be like, we are descended from the Lemurians, and somebody will make a TikTok video like,
Actually,
girl. Actually,
this podcast is spreading misinformation about the Lemurian origins.
And as an Atlantean, I find that deeply offensive.
Yeah. Well, like, so part of the idea is that like the Lemurians, the Hyperboreans, like whatever, these were like more evolved races, and that they probably like bred with monkeys and shit, and that's what made us. Like that we're like sort of like half breeds.
Oh, we got some Yakub action going on.
Yeah, we've got weird shit.
You know Yakub?
Yeah.
Yeah, Yakub was the idea is the Nation of Islam that adopted Islamic. It was like Black Americans, by and large. Louis Farrakhan, others adopted a lot of Islamic. They adopted Islam for understandable reasons at the time. You know, I think that you could really look at Christianity as like the white man's religion if you wanted to. And but they also have their own canon, which includes Yakub, the big-headed Black scientist who lived on an island somewhere and created white people.
Yeah, it's like I feel like it's like,
and I think he actually made white people from monkeys.
Yeah.
Like the white people come from the monkeys, and Yakub is like, he fucked everything up, big-headed Yakub. But he was black, so, you know.
Yeah,
let him cook.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I can, like, you know, the Hoteps, like, I speak a similar language to them. Like, we have similar, like, understandings of lore.
I'm sure you can really chop it up with the Hotep.
I really can. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, so I don't know. Humans are, like, the idea is, like, maybe they bred with monkeys, like, whatever. Like, maybe there's still some of that DNA floating around, whether it's, like, Hyperborea or Lemurian or even Atlantean.
Oh, yeah.
But, like we've just kind of evolved in a
all
different
of those
direction.
strains are in us.
Yes, yeah. To wrap up this tier.
Well, we should do the Akashic records in this tier last.
Yeah, okay. So to wrap up this tier, I'll go to X. X is a 4chan board. Yep. The reason why I put X here is because
it's the paranormal 4chan board.
This is where you start learning about this stuff.
Yeah, right. This is the gateway.
This is like if you're seeking, you go to X, you see what you ask people questions, you know.
And it's very appropriate that it's the gateway to the lower tiers.
Indeed. It's like you start learning about like star seeds and like Lemurians. You go on X, and then it's like really deep dives from there.
Yeah, 4chan is really interesting because it's a gateway to non-consensus culture in many ways. I've had talked to many people that 4chan was like a formative experience, good or bad, because they existed in the consensus culture, in a consensus culture. You know, it could be a right-wing one, it could be a left-wing one, it could be whatever. They were religious, they were not religious, whatever. But they were in their like bubble, you know what I mean? And then they go to 4chan and they just get this entirely like different perspective, like entirely different, right? And this can be good, this can be bad. I have a friend who was like, yeah, I experienced like ego death, like on this like a non like image board. 4chan is a very powerful crucible.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
For good and for ill.
Well, all of this, you know what I mean? I think that's
I'm
thing.
Eskimo cousins with Moot.
You have told me this.
Yeah.
I don't know that you've ever said on the podcast, though.
Yeah, an Eskimo cousin is if you and another guy
we know what it is.
Had sex with the same woman.
Yep, we know.
Yeah. Apparently he eats pussy like a champ.
All right, let's keep going. So I put transhumanism in this tier because I feel like this is also one that kind of like leaks out to like the broader normie public.
Yeah.
Just like, and I also think it represents the hubris of like us being like Atlantis.
The Lemurians.
You know, we're like, let's put a chip in our brain.
Wait, the transhumanists.
Transhumanism as an idea.
A lot of these things apply.
No, transhumanism is like an idea, right? It's like oh, let's put a chip in our brain, let's make ourselves greater.
Yeah.
And you're not like thinking about like the spiritual ramifications of that.
Absolutely.
So it's like I feel like that's the way that we're kind of like repeating Atlantis subplots.
Yeah, I played this video game called Rifts. Look behind you. There's a book called Chaos Earth. Mm-hmm. Could you grab that? Important reference material.
Important.
Yeah, give me. So this is a book from basically sort of like it's from an RPG called Rifts. And the idea in Rifts is that there was like a huge cataclysm on Earth that people, like there was basically like a war and then a plague and then another war and then a nuclear explosion and then like a plague of locusts and like all these things happened at the same time. And people started dying by the millions, right? And all these people dying, every individual is like a magical battery. And as they died, all of this magical energy was released and it turned into a uncontrollable positive feedback loop. And the name Rifts comes from the fact that in this world, huge portals opened to other dimensions that were ripped open by the psychic energy coming out of all of these living batteries being killed.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And in this game, you could play as a cyborg and not as a cyborg. There were different categories. You could get cybernetic implants, and there were trade-offs for getting cybernetic implants.
The transhumanist agenda.
It wasn't like pure good. You know what I mean? And this is also true of a lot of biohackers. Like biohackers, like they do very cool things, you know, like, oh, like I put a magnet in my finger and now I can detect magnetic fields in wires. I can tell when a wire is powered because I can literally feel the magnetic field.
Mm-hmm.
But then it gets like rejected by the body. You know,
Yeah.
they're not taking a holistic approach.
That's what I think like that's really the lesson to a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's like you have to integrate these things. You can't just
Absolutely.
like jump to the finish line.
Yeah, for sure.
The last thing in this tier is the Akashic record.
Indeed.
I put this here because I feel like that's, I don't know. It's like not like Akashic Records is not getting into like Hollow Earth, Jesus was a mushroom. Like
Right.
it's kind of just like, oh, like
It's a,
like if you believe in soul contracts, isn't
Yeah.
there somewhere where they would be filed away?
absolutely.
You know?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I think that one's, you know, we've discussed the Akashic Records on this podcast before.
And the Akashic Records are appropriate because they were my gateway into the
Right, you're-
lower tiers of the iceberg.
Yeah,
Below
exactly.
the surface, the deep, dark.
Yeah, you're starting to get into it.
I'm starting to get into
Mhm.
it. Yeah, and the Akashic Records, like, I think it's that the reason it's so appealing. First off, the reason that I thought that it was appealing was I thought it was funny. I was talking to a woman and I asked her what is like the most woo thing you could think of. And she said like, oh yeah, somebody who's like meditating and is like, you know what, I'm gonna like spread my menstrual blood like in like a pentacle and I'm going to access Donald Trump's Akashic Records and I'm going to like fix him. I'm going to fix the world, or I'm going to like challenge him and destroy him with the knowledge that I find in the Akashic Records.
I need to start a podcast with her.
Yeah. And I was like, this is the funniest shit I've ever heard. This is literally the funniest shit. Something about the Akashic Records. Like,
It's beautiful.
yeah, like it's such a, it's
Speaks to you.
Akashic. It's obviously like an Indian, like Vedic thing with the like absurd juxtaposition of like the records. Like, and then there's all these like consequences. Like, oh, is there a librarian? Like, are they books? Are they scrolls? Like, how are they filed? Do they use the Dewey Decimal System? Is the Dewey Decimal System inspired by the like numbering system in the Akashic Records? Like, what is in the Akashic Records?
I feel like
are
if
they
you-
shared? Do we each have our own Akashic Records?
I feel like if you went there and you asked them all these questions, they'd be like, get out of here. Like, they'd be like, bro, you're asking way too many questions.
Well, you know what? I would have to play it cool.
You'd have to play it cool. That's
I'd
what
have
I'm
to play it
saying. You
cool.
know, you can't go annoy the librarians at the Akashic
The
Records.
librarian or librarians.
Mhm.
Do we know anybody who might be in the Akashic Records?
We do.
Are we getting there?
I mean, I didn't put it on here.
Well, I mean, I think we know somebody who we believe is trapped in the Akashic Records.
Yeah, we do. We
Yeah.
do.
His name is John Pork.
We need to free him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that John Pork, he was, you know, we didn't pick up. He was calling
John
us.
Pork is calling, guys. John Pork was calling.
John Pork was calling.
For any of you who haven't seen this was a major TikTok event like 2 years ago.
That's right.
John Pork is calling. It's
Yep.
a screenshot of John Pork.
Who's a pig man.
He's a pig man.
Yep.
And he's calling and you can't pick up.
Yep. And we have pieced together from our research.
Yeah, I mean, this
peop-
is kind of our contribution, I would say, to like,
Well, we don't know. We don't know if it's true or not.
but we're positing a theory.
Yeah, we have a
hypothesis.
theory that John Pork was calling, and he was calling from the Akashic Records.
And that's why you couldn't pick up.
That's why you couldn't pick up. Even if you tried, you just liked
And
the
that's
video.
why it went through TikTok, because TikTok is the collective consciousness.
That's right. And so we think that a lot of people think that John Pork is dead.
Yeah.
We actually think that that is incorrect. We believe that John Pork is somewhere in the material plane, okay? And his body is still alive, but it's in a state of stasis
Mhm.
because he
Deep
either
meditation.
it's unclear if it was meditation or lucid dreaming, okay? We don't know if John Pork was a seeker, if he did this intentionally,
Yeah.
right? He used lucid dreaming or meditation to access the Akashic Records, okay? And somehow he got stuck there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we don't know. Like, I mean, we're just piecing this together. Okay, we've seen signs.
We've seen signs, but this might be his soul contract. You know what I mean? We might not be able to save him.
Yeah, I feel really bad about that. Like, I feel like he was calling and we didn't pick up.
He was trying to reach us.
He was trying. Yeah,
But maybe he wasn't trying to leave. Maybe he was just trying to send some messages.
yeah. I mean,
We
maybe-
don't know.
Yeah, he could have found good stuff. He could have found bad
Yeah,
stuff.
he could have just been trying to reach us.
My personal hope is that John Pork has found employment in the Akashic Records as a librarian.
Absolutely.
I
think
would
he'd
like
be a great
that.
one.
I mean, we know he was a deep, confused beautiful soul.
Yeah.
Have you heard John Pork sing?
Of course I have.
Yeah.
He had a beautiful voice.
He had a beautiful voice. He was soulful, you know, something ethereal about that man,
Mm-hmm.
you know? We don't know. I mean, we don't know, you know, what's going on. If you know
if you have any sort of tips,
like and subscribe, say in the comments if you know where John Pork is in the Akashic Records.
Yeah. And if you've gone to the Akashic Records, also let us know like what's going on in there.
I want to know.
See if you can reach him.
I have a lot of practical questions, obviously, about the Akashic Records.
Yeah, you're obsessed.
Yeah, I'm obsessed. I mean, is it meditation that lets you access the Akashic Records? I feel lucid dreaming is a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you know, the Lemurians, like, do they live in a physical place now or have they ascended?
Yeah.
You know?
I know.
Is there a portal to the Akashic Records on the top of Mount Shasta? These are things that reasonable people, inquiring minds wish to know.
That's for fucking sure. I mean, I do think it's like there's an anthropomorphizing that we do with all these things where we imagine them as like, oh, the Lemurians are literally living in Mount Shasta.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe Mount Shasta is just like a portal to somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
or there's some sort of interdimensional aspect of like we're just kind of putting it in terms that we can understand.
Yeah, I mean, I think we approach these things from very different angles. As you know well, I'm a materialist, right? So I think likely, you know, my take would be the Lemurians are living in Mount Shasta, and they've carved out, you know, some sort of like under hollow earth.
We're getting into it, bro.
They have hollowed out the earth in Mount Shasta.
Well, the earth was already hollow. That's the thing.
Well, I mean,
okay, sorry, I don't mean to derail you. I'm just saying this is the next tier.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, you know, yeah, they're living there and they're just, you know, a race of early humans, right? But I can't discount the possibility that there's a connection with the Akashic Records there.
Right. Yeah. It all connects.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, we are both scientists, right?
We are.
I have a degree in computer science. You have a degree in planetary science. So indeed, we are scientists.
I think between those 2 degrees, we could probably crack the Akashic Records.
Oh, definitely.
We could get into the hollow earth and like this, you know, matrix.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little bit nervous about that. Have you seen the Darren Aronofsky movie Pi?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's about a Jewish guy who, because I'm Jewish, guys.
You're a Jewish guy.
Yeah, so it's about a Jewish guy who,
and a very beautiful woman who's the smartest woman alive.
And most beautiful woman alive. Yeah, that's right. No, it's about a Jewish guy who he makes this computer, and it's a computer that's too. He's a mathematician. He's like a pure numbers guy, but the computer starts spitting out these numbers, starts spitting out these patterns, and people take notice. People are interested in this. He's tinkering. He's building this machine, and different forces get involved. A woman who's clearly from some sort of agency of the federal government shows up at his house.
We know what that's like.
A guy who's like a stock trader who wants to use it to trade shows up. You know who else shows up? The Jews. Orthodox Jews who see the patterns in the Torah reflected in the numbers that are being printed out by the computer. And he goes fucking crazy. And he's clearly me in that story.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
That's very you.
So, you know, at a vulnerable time, this kind of exploration could be bad for me.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, we're keeping it contained. We're keeping it safe. It's all in the iceberg.
The movie.
Just close the book, bro.
Just close the book. Don't go on the internet. Yeah. The guy at the end of the movie, he lobotomizes himself because he doesn't want to know. And the movie ends in actually kind of a.
I get it.
Yeah, but the movie ends in kind of a happy place. He's sitting in a park in New York City. I think it was filmed in New York City. And a child is asking him, who knew he was a mathematician before, is asking him simple math questions like what's 10 times 2 and what's 1,000? And he goes, I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's sad, but I get it.
Yeah. I can see why you'd want to, like, you know, really
totally
bore out the old pineal gland.
Yeah, exactly. Take that pineal gland out.
Pineal gland out. Set my pineal gland free.
Yep, exactly. Release me.
Release the pineal
Smooth
gland.
brain.
Smooth brain. Yeah. Smooth it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we got through the second tier.
Yeah.
So you had hinted at the Hollow Earth earlier when we were talking about Mount Shasta and the Lemurians. So part of the thing with Mount Shasta and the Lemurians is like, I don't think the interpretation is that they like literally just like live in the mountains. it's like something about Mount Shasta is a portal, either to some other dimension or like it's an entrance into the hollow earth is something that people have proposed. The hollow earth is brought up also related to like the Nazis, like Hitler went to Antarctica. That's actually getting really deep into that's at the bottom tier.
Is Hitler went out? Okay, we're getting there. Where's Hitler went to Antarctica?
It's at the very bottom. Like I'm kind of hinting at that. But,
and he's alive.
Well, right. So basically the thing with the hollow earth is like, you know, the Nazis that were super into Hyperborea, right? Like,
Okay. Just wait. Let me get situated here.
You told me to start.
Okay. Yeah. Go.
Hyperborea. The thought was like maybe Hyperborea had an entrance into the hollow earth. Like you can't just like get into the hollow earth. There's certain portals into the hollow earth, and like maybe Mount Shasta is one. Maybe there's one in Hyperborea. Maybe there's one like in Antarctica. Like the poles seem like a logical place where there would be entrances into the hollow earth, right?
Sure.
So,
and it's where the magnetic field dives into
exactly.
the earth. It's
like,
all coming together there.
Yeah. I personally don't believe in the hollow earth.
Why not? We've come so far.
But I think hollow earth is like an important part of also understanding like how deviated from reality you can get with this, you know, where it's like, yeah, the earth is literally hollow. And also this is why people say flat earth is a distraction. They're like, oh, they're trying to distract you from the fact that the earth is actually hollow. They're trying to like psyop you into saying something ridiculous, like that the earth is flat, when actually you need to be asking if the earth is hollow.
Which you don't believe is true.
I don't personally.
So like
but there are a lot of honest believers in the hollow earth.
That's some 5D chess thing right there. You're like, this insane theory.
Mm-hmm.
You don't believe in the flat earth.
No, but no one does. That's the point.
No, there's some true believers.
Yeah, but like,
there's a guy on YouTube that documented his progress of like going away from flat earth, getting into and going away. There's that famous video where some flat earthers recreate one of the experiments to show that the earth is flat, and they inadvertently like prove that the earth is round.
Yeah, these are not serious people. That's my point.
No, they were serious people. They recreated an experiment that was done like 1,200 years ago
mm-hmm.
with like lights and holes in like boards that were set up like very far away, and they were like, "Can you see the light? Can you see the light?" And they're like, "No." And you could see the light there if the earth is flat. And then they were like, "Oh well, move the board down a little bit." And they did. And they were like, "Do you see the light?" And they were like, "Yeah." And it was like, "Oh." And that was how in that experiment, that's how you know that the earth is round.
Yeah, right.
They are serious people.
Well, I think the thing is that like the thought is that flat earth theory is sort of like promoted by intelligence agencies in order to get you spinning out about something ridiculous rather than trying to find the entrances to the hollow earth.
But you know, for some people, what it might be.
What?
A humiliation ritual.
Exactly. You're so right. Exactly. Like literally, it's like you're sort of like put into this position to show your loyalty to the cause.
Right.
You know?
Okay. Yeah.
So that's
great.
hollow earth. Again, hollow earth is not for me.
Really it's getting psychedelic.
It's getting a little psychedelic. The breakaway civilization, which is also in this. Have you heard of this? This is like an Alex Jones thing, but it's also kind of normie at this point.
Okay.
Breakaway civilization is basically this idea that there's like a group of elites that's like planning for the destruction of society, and so they're like planning their own breakaway civilization.
I've just decided that I think all this stuff is really healthy to focus on.
Okay, love that.
Yeah, I think that you know, people are they're very like right versus left.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're like this bullshit fucking stupid fucking spectrum of like left wing versus right wing.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get on that Lemurian versus Atlantean spectrum.
Absolutely.
Let's get on this like Nation of Islam versus Yaqub spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get on this flat earth or hollow earth spectrum. Let's give the people something to do that isn't so fucking divisive and destructive.
I agree.
Like hang out, like talk about like, you know, fucking if CERN is populated by fucking starseeds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's much better.
I totally agree.
Don't buy into this consensus conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Invent your own fun, idiotic conflict.
Yeah, and like try to find the truth, you know? Be a truth seeker rather than like trying to like just be divisive about politics.
The truth is out there.
The truth is out there. The truth is out there.
They say in the X-Files.
They do, yeah. Yeah, I mean, so the breakaway civilization, like some people think they're in the Hollow Earth, or like they're building out a breakaway civilization in the Hollow Earth, because
no, it's
if you
not
think,
hollow. Why would be? Come on.
if you believe in Hollow Earth,
Yeah, but we
right.
don't like.
I'm just saying, like, it would be a good place to hide if you're planning on like creating nuclear winter on the surface.
What do we
Do you
think
know what I
about
mean?
nuclear weapons?
That's further down. Nuclear
Okay.
bombs trapped us in the 3D.
Okay, I don't want to jump ahead.
Nuclear bombs trapped us in the 3D. That I kind of believe that one.
Do we have the bicameral mind on here? Bicameral mind?
No, I don't know what that is.
Oh yeah, it's the idea that early humans, like 2,000 years ago, didn't have consciousness as we thought of it. That there were actually two separate regions of their mind. There was sort of this like, they basically experienced thought as like God commanding them, but it was their own mind telling them to do things. Drink the water, like go to war, like go to sea, like plant the crops, like, you know, like kill that man. And they experienced it as the voice of God, but it was actually like a separate region of their mind. And bicameral means like two houses. I'm not entirely sure, but like if you have Senate and a Congress, you have two chambers of government. It's bicameral, so it's like they're not integrated. And our modern conception of consciousness is the integration of those two things. We've merged them. We no longer experience our own thoughts as an external entity commanding us to do things, and that's why people have become less religious, because they no longer experience on a daily basis this powerful voice of God commanding them to do things.
Interesting.
Yeah. This should be on there. We could probably do a
Casey's
Iceberg episode. Yeah, that would be a whole nother thing.
That would be a whole other thing, that's for sure. I mean, that kind of relates to Jesus was a mushroom. So Jesus was a mushroom. This is basically the idea that Jesus was not a literal...
You know, back when we were in the alpha tier, I was looking on at Jesus was a mushroom and being like, that shit's crazy. Like, that shit's crazy.
And now we're here.
And now I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, what kind of mushroom?
Yeah.
Was it poisonous or no?
Amanita muscaria.
Very poisonous.
Well, but it's also psychedelic if you treat it correctly.
Interesting. Wait, explain, like...
So this is an idea that comes... I think it was most deeply researched by this guy who wrote this book called something like The Sacrament and the Holy Cross. I don't remember what it's called. He was on Joe Rogan. It got like super popular after that.
Yeah.
But basically his argument is that like Jesus was not a literal person who like was the son of God. Jesus was the like taking of the sacrament of Amanita muscaria and having psychedelic hallucinations that then awakened a religious experience.
So, but like, what's the explanation for the historical figure of Jesus that we're pretty sure was a charismatic Jewish leader that believed himself to be divinely inspired? Like, where does that historical figure come
Maybe
from?
he gave a sacrament of psychedelic mushrooms.
Oh, I see.
Right.
So
that's
Jesus was not literally a mushroom, but like,
yeah, it's like the like the Christ figure is more about like the psychedelics and the mushroom.
I mean, the
sacrament itself.
Yeah, that's
why the part of that is like
this needs a new name. It needs to be called sacramental mycology or something.
Yeah, just Jesus was a mushroom is just a great way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean, was he like a Mario mushroom? Like you jump on his head, like.
Well, so part of it is like when you commune with Jesus now, you take like the body and blood, right? Like you take the sacrament, and so that's the idea is like Jesus is the sacrament.
I see.
It's not like him. He just was like the guy who was kind of promoting the thing.
Got it.
But the sacrament itself, when
he's an early adopter.
when he's saying like drink my blood and my body, like he's like take the Amanita muscaria, and that's why Christmas has the Amanita muscaria as like it's like you know when you look at like German Christmas celebrations, they have that like Mario mushroom all over.
I'm not. Oh yeah, maybe that. Rings
it is a thing. Santa is red and white.
Okay.
So it's like once you start seeing, I mean, there's literally, once you start seeing like the Amanita muscaria, like symbolism in Christianity, you do start to see it.
Yeah. For those following along at home, I'm holding a great book. It's called Fairies by Brian Froud and Alan Lee. Brian Froud is this amazing illustrator who went on to do all of the design for the movie The Labyrinth.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you're reading Trolls, which was...
I chose Trolls because I feel like it's ambiguous whether I am one or not.
Yeah, this whole episode is pretty ambiguous about whether we're trolling or not.
Yep.
And then, but do we have Goblins of the Labyrinth somewhere?
We did.
Oh, I have that down here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but yeah, beautiful book, and there happened to be a picture of a Amanita muscaria mushroom.
Of course.
One thing that I love about this book, this was a book that was, my parents didn't buy it for me, but it was in our childhood home, so I read it. This book has a very cool take on fairies.
What, they're kind of fugly?
Well, no, not that. That they're not like Tinkerbell.
Mm-hmm.
They're the earlier European folk traditions of fairies was like they're dangerous.
Yeah.
Like
they're
they
kind
can
of
fucking
fucked up.
They're kind of fucked up. There's beautiful ones, there's ugly ones. Like this is a leprechaun, and he might do you well or he might fuck you up pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also, I mean, the a lot of the fairies are quite like erotic as well. Some of them
They lure you in.
Yeah. And they take you in. Like, look at this. To a wild fairy dance that is uncontrollable and leaves you mad, potentially quite mad. And I think this book is very beautiful because we see Tinkerbell, we see this like modern watered down take on fairies, but like our European ancestors were like scared of them. They were like, oh, it's a queer place. It's a queer place down there by old McGillett's farm. There's a queer energy in the air,
Mm-hmm.
And I went there by the devil. I swear I saw 10 little men dancing in a fairy circle. And
it's beautiful.
You might not want to go back.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the tip of the iceberg versus deeper in the iceberg.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like things are actually a little freaky.
Womanizing is another of Finvara's favorite activities. Even though Onaga, his wife, is the most beautiful woman in the world, or is the most beautiful woman in our world or his, he frequently abducts mortal women. One such was Ethna the bride, who was eventually won back by her persistent husband. He threatened to dig down into Finvara's wrath and expose the interior to the light of day.
Men are trash. You can literally be the most beautiful woman in all the realms, and he still might cheat on you.
I'm on his team. Whatever. Don't give me this female union boss bullshit. Oh, men are trash. But the thing is you hate women too.
I love men and women.
What about the women who went to space?
I don't hate them. I think they're misplaced. They're misguided. I love women and I love men. I actually think I'm a huge advocate for men in the women community.
Sometimes I don't think you love men,
I think men have their issues.
Yeah. Say something nice about men.
They're really capable and competent.
Yeah, we did agree earlier today that if we talked about the way that civilization would fall apart if men and women like left the earth, and like obviously if women left, we would die out. We'd cease to reproduce. The world would be a colder place.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if the men disappeared, it'd be like lesbian Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
It'd be
like,
wacky.
Very quickly.
Things would fall apart.
Yeah, Erin said she would have to find some sort of like Latina, like cartel lesbian to
I need like a daddy.
You need a daddy. Yeah. Like, hola, ¿qué tal? Soy Erin. Somebody's going to take charge,
Yeah.
I actually think that Erin could be the take charge one.
I could. I just don't think I'd want to.
I don't want to, but we agreed that you need a goth baddie who can shoot. Yep.
Maybe a Scorpio.
Yep.
Maybe I could handle it.
Yeah. In a world of no women, I would just be like depressed. I'd just be like okay.
You say that, but every man is gay in prison.
I don't think that I'd turn gay.
I don't think they turn gay. I just think it's like when the situation is what it is.
Yeah, true. You're right. Yeah, any port in a storm.
Yeah,
that's
how men actually
any porthole
are.
in a storm. Any hole in a storm.
Any glory hole in a storm.
Yeah. It's possible. Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know. Maybe I'd find some twink.
Yeah, you never know.
Have a beautiful life.
You never know.
You never know. Yeah.
You could be even better matched.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Where were we? Okay, so I'm looking at the rest of this tier, and I do think some of these we're in the third tier.
Okay, Galactic Federation Council.
You want to get into Galactic Federation Council?
Yeah. The GFC, as it's called.
So the Galactic Federation Council is very interesting. I would say this is sort of like the thing that ties together a lot of the different narratives here. So basically, the idea with the Galactic Federation Council is that humans are not the only intelligent life in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like, zoo hypothesis. We've talked about zoo hypothesis before. The idea that like we're being watched, like other
yeah.
intelligent entities like
Do we have
know
panspermia on here?
No, panspermia isn't really a spiritual thing. That's more like a theory of life. Like panspermia is pretty normy. Just like the idea that like life spreads.
Yeah, people are allowed to believe that panspermia.
Yeah, panspermia is like a normal scientific theory.
Yeah, one other way to frame these tiers is that we're going further and further outside the Overton window.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. The Galactic Federation Council is basically like, okay, if you think that there's like, if you think that there's a group of intelligent civilizations outside of humans on Earth that are aware of our existence, but like they don't interfere with us, the Galactic Federation Council is kind of like, that's like their council of ruling bodies. Like there's every civilization gets like a representative, for example. I don't know the exact structure. There's kind of arguments. So
bicameral, 2 houses?
No. It's just one council. It's just one council for sure. But the thing with the council is that I would say most of the new agey spirituality people believe that the Galactic Federation Council is looking out for us. Like they're higher evolved. They want us to like enter the Federation.
Nice. That's nice. Yeah, they're like the Federation in Star Trek.
Yeah, they want us to get there.
Yeah.
I think that they're a little bit bureaucratic.
I
don't think that they're like
kind of Brussels vibe.
They're not gods. Yeah, like
they're
not gods.
like like French bureaucrats who are deciding like who gets to call what cheese what.
Yes, like they're not like divine beings. They're just like other civilizations that have similar bureaucratic rules and problems. Part of the lore around the Galactic Federation Council is this idea that they were much more involved with Atlantis more directly. And a theory goes that I kind of believe is that the Galactic Federation Council were the ones that gave them the advanced technology that they weren't spiritually evolved for.
Oh, yeah.
So the Galactic...
Yeah, there's a dark side to everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, they were like, yeah, like, we love you little humans. Like, why don't you try this? Why don't you try this? Like, here, take this. Here, teleport. Here, have telepathy. Here, and that they couldn't handle it. And so part of the idea behind why we're now in like a zoo hypothesis situation is because the Galactic Federation Council agreed they weren't going to interfere anymore directly. Like, they went too far.
What did they do?
They gave too much technology and knowledge to humans, and humans didn't like earn it themselves.
Was it the nukes?
The nukes could be.
Yeah.
Like we don't exactly know what caused the fall of Atlantis.
Yeah, it's controversial.
But basically,
what does TikTok think of the fall of Atlantis?
I would say this is like a pretty dominant, like the Galactic Federation Council is like pretty like standard.
Entrenched, yeah.
Yeah.
How do beliefs on TikTok work?
I would say like on TikTok, like starseeds is really popular. Shifting is really popular. Obviously astrology is really popular. Yeah. TikTok doesn't go super deep in all this stuff because it's kind of dark. Like I would say a lot of this stuff starts to getting into more like anon stuff.
That's weird to me because like is like divisive political content popular on TikTok?
People say that, but like honestly it's not.
Huh.
Like the Chinese are like trying to pacify us.
That's weird. They're
trying to show us cat videos.
That's actually not always been their strategy. Do you know what whataboutism is?
Kind of. Like just the idea of being like, well, what about blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and the Chinese government, the CCP, has employed that whenever like there are criticisms of China, they're like, well, like look at how racist America is.
Yeah.
Like so actually like a lot of people on the right wing probably think that wokeness, writ large is CCP propaganda.
There's obviously some, like I would say TikTok, it's not like it's like truly just like no, like people are definitely like saying controversial things on TikTok, but I would say in general it's more like funny surface level content.
But then like does the CCP not understand that if they pacify us, we can just get back to doing capitalism and we're going to fuck them over? We're going to absolutely like rocket into space with our incredible capitalism and they're absolutely fucked.
I just don't know that they're really like doing. I don't necessarily believe that China is like trying to mind psyop us through TikTok.
I see. Yep.
Like I kind of just think TikTok is like a really great algorithm and the Chinese have kind of like mastered like just giving people like cute cat videos to satiate their brain.
Yep.
And so that's just why that product came out of China.
Right. Yeah.
But it's not that like China designed TikTok in order to like psyop us. Like maybe they want that power over TikTok. They'd like to be able to pull those levers, and maybe sometimes they do. But I would say it's more that they don't let you talk about certain things.
I see.
It's more like that than it is like that they're consciously like seeding things. I mean, obviously people are going to be fucking all up in the comments disagreeing with me on that, but
Sure.
like, and everyone's algorithm is different, but I don't know. I would say in general, like, yeah, I mean, weirdo spirituality content does do well on TikTok sometimes, but I would just say in general, this is more of like a nobody general, like a non-forum kind of energy to it.
Interesting.
There's not a lot of people who like want to get behind Kundalini harvesting.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, it's like, you don't really want, I mean, look at me like having this podcast.
I really had to like process that for a second, you know.
But let me continue telling you about the Galactic
I mean, I
Federation
kind of want
Council.
to get behind Kundalini harvesting.
You don't.
I'm harvesting
You
that
don't.
Kundalini all the time.
No, you don't.
No, I don't. Okay, we'll
once
get
I
there.
explain
We'll
it,
get
you
there.
will take that back.
Okay, I'll take that back.
I want to finish the Galactic Federation Council point because I do think it's kind of necessary for understanding kind of like the deep stuff later in the iceberg. Is basically this idea that like the Galactic Federation Council has information about us, you know, like they know like our past, they have advanced technology, and for some reason they don't intervene, you know, like it implies like a larger structure that we're not totally aware of, whether it's like bureaucratically or like laws of the universe or whatever.
Yeah, well, it's
right?
like the universe is bigger than us. We're not the only ones kind of vibe, and they're Brussels bureaucrats, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that I think they have our best interests at heart. I think they do want us
but
to
they're
like
kind of incompetent, you know. They don't know how to best to help us self-actualize.
I mean, like their version of like the best thing for us is like, why don't you guys spiritually evolve so that you can be bureaucrats in the Galactic Federation Council? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they're not gods. Like, it's like, it's just advanced civilizations. Yeah, I mean, this kind of connects to like Age of Aquarius telepathy. So this is like, we talked about this on the last episode, this idea that like during the Age of Leo, which was like the fall of Atlantis, that we lost telepathy.
Mm-hmm.
So we had telepathy and we lost it. And that's part of the idea that like maybe this was a technology that like we didn't really like have the spiritual evolution to support, but we just like were hubristic about it and we eventually lost it. And then like the agreement in the Galactic Federation Council was like, they have to earn it themselves. We can't just give them this.
Yeah.
They have to come to it themselves.
Yeah.
And so like part of like the prophecy of the Age of Aquarius is like, this is like an evolution of our consciousness where like we may regain some of these gifts, not because the Galactic Federation is like coming down and being like, hey, United States of America, here's this. They're not supposed to do that, at least. That we will like earn it through consciousness evolution. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah.
MK Ultra and False Light are kind of like similar ideas. MK Ultra, you're probably familiar with.
MK Ultra was like the LSD experiments that the CIA did that produced Ted Kaczynski.
Yeah, they tried to do mind control.
And they got the Unabomber.
Yeah. The thing is
that canon?
Yeah, that is like
okay.
Well, he was in like weird MK Ultra trials when he was at like Harvard when he was like 16.
Yeah, his manifesto is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, there's some questionable stuff in there. But
are you a Uncle Ted fan?
Yeah, I would say like I think it's like good that like crazy people exist and that they put their ideas out there, and I think he was very successful.
Yeah.
I don't really agree with him. Like he's very like modern society is like a poison.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really he's a Luddite. Like I'm not a Luddite. You know?
I think my problem with Ted Kaczynski is that he's an authoritarian.
Yeah.
The authoritarianism of violence. Like, okay, great. Maybe these things are true, but like, listen, you're going to be the one to save us. You're going to like nuke us like back into some idyllic Stone Age.
Exactly. Like
give me a break, brother.
I just don't think that like, I don't really like agree with the idea that like, oh, modern world is like creating this terrible condition for the human spirit. And if only we were just back in nature, we'd all be happy. Like, just not true. It doesn't seem like
Yeah.
Like if that was the case, we wouldn't have progressed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we would have just chilled.
Yeah.
We'd be grilling.
We'd be in the Garden of Eden. We can't go back to the Garden of Eden. We had original sin, bro.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
I kind of just don't
Also,
really
the
like
lives
vibe with
people
that.
lived, I mean, the lives, like the fact, the oddly uncomfortable truth for a lot of people is that the world is getting better in a lot of very practical ways. And like some people don't want to believe that because they're aesthetically uncomfortable with capitalism. They want things to be getting worse because it confirms their ideology. And it's like, bro, look at literacy rates, look at poverty rates, look at rates of people getting educations, look at any metric that you care about, like the rates of acceptance of interracial marriage, the rates of women getting degrees, the rates of blah, blah, blah. Like there are some metrics that are going in the wrong direction, right? But by and large, progress has been positive. By and large, you just have to accept that. And if you have this like doom and gloom ideology that you're attached to for some reason, it just is not going to survive contact with reality.
Yeah, like that's why I think like the Unabomber, he's like a fascinating personality, you know, and it's kind of crazy. Like he literally had his manifesto published in the New York Times.
Yeah, well,
you know, like that's a pretty crazy level of success for someone with his mission.
Yeah, he published a mathematical puzzle in a newspaper column or something that was dedicated, or like a newsletter that was dedicated to mathematical puzzles. He's a talented mathematician.
Yeah, exactly. He's interesting.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy.
He's an ensouled person.
Yeah. For good, for good.
He's
or for
on
ill.
his own mission.
Yep.
But it's just not really my mission. Like I don't really relate
he's
to
cooking,
it.
But it's not good.
Yeah. It's not for me. It's not for me.
It's somebody else's casserole.
But yeah, MK Ultra, like he was participating in like what people think were MK Ultra trials at Harvard when he was really young. And so the thought is like maybe that kind of, you know, sprung some screws loose.
Right.
That actually was humiliation ritual stuff. He wasn't doing LSD. He was like in humiliation rituals.
Right.
It was like not, as far as was recorded, he wasn't doing drugs. He was doing like weird, like punishment, humiliation things. And he like recounts those as being like very traumatic things.
Yeah, I believe I read that on his Wikipedia page once.
Yeah. But so I think like with MK Ultra, I mean, really, honestly, I think the T with MK Ultra, this is based on
Spill it, sis.
It's based on the book called Chaos, which is a book. It's actually really good. It's not like weirdo at all. It's like pretty normie. It's about Charles Manson.
Okay.
That book basically argues that the CIA did all this shit, partially like they were very much aware of what Charles Manson was doing in like the case of Charles Manson, and they like got him out of jail a bunch of times. Like they bailed him out when he was like getting DUIs and like doing things where like he probably should have been like on the radar of
we're gonna have to censor my feet for the foot fetishists.
Right.
We don't want them getting too excited.
No, we don't. Not while I'm talking about Charles Manson. We don't want them getting their wires crossed.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Just like Charles Manson got his wires crossed.
Yeah, but basically like the CIA knew what Charles Manson was doing and they kind of just like let him do it. Like it's not like they were necessarily like instructing him, but they were just sort of like they'd bail him out of jail and shit like that. They were very like, no, let him do his thing. Let him do his thing. And the book Chaos essentially argues that like part of the
I think I had heard that he committed some crazy crime and they just like let him go.
Yep. Yeah. The Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic in Haight-Ashbury, the doctors there were CIA agents. They knew that Charles Manson was like building a cult. Like they were just monitoring, basically. They just wanted to be like involved and like know what was going on. They didn't really want to like stop it. That wasn't their goal.
They just wanted to be in the loop.
They wanted to be in the loop. They were truth seeking.
They were truth seeking. Yeah, the CIA. There are probably some truth seekers in the CIA.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I understand. Like, if you want like that intel, like, why not? You know.
Yeah.
But part of the argument of the book Chaos is that so MK Ultra documents were declassified, and with the declassification, they said like, oh, we tried these experiments, but they didn't work.
Yeah.
And that's like the prevailing narrative now. It's like, oh my God, the CIA did all this crazy stuff, but it actually didn't work, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And the book argues that there's pages missing. There's like things that are like removed from the declassified documents, that there were probably things they did that did work. But then they just kind of put out a narrative of like, oh, nothing worked.
Yeah.
Like we'll admit to stuff, but nothing worked. So don't look into it.
Yeah,
you
right.
know?
That does make sense that they discovered something like some sort of, crazy interrogation techniques.
Yeah,
or
we don't know.
Brainwashing that did work, some manual for brainwashing,
Yeah, we don't know. But there's like weird cases. Like there was a guy at like an army base in the South where he like he was participating in certain like MK Ultra trials. We don't know exactly what,
Mm-hmm.
but he like flipped. Like there was like a switch flipped, you know, like an MK Ultra trigger. He flipped and he like raped and murdered a random 4-year-old. And he has like no memory of it. He like went to prison, like I think death sentence or whatever. Like, and like it was a situation where it was like, okay, they did kind of like operate the kill switch. Like it may not have gone in the direction that they wanted it to, but like something worked.
No shit.
Yeah. Read the book. It's good. Or just like watch like a
TikTok
podcast
about
interview.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Watch a Vine
like
about
whatever.
it. Find some legendary Vines.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. It's an interesting book. I don't think he's like saying super extreme things in it. He's kind of just like trying to understand like what is the real story here. And like the conclusion is like, yeah, there's probably stuff they just left out because it was like, it was easy for them to just say like, yeah, nothing worked. Oh my God, sorry, we tried all this crazy shit. But like none of it worked. Don't look at it.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, MK Ultra, that's kind of there. False light, this is the last one here. False light, I just want to kind of point out, this is like a similar thing to like twin flames where I'm sort of just giving like a warning to people.
Uh-huh.
So in the spirituality community, there's a lot of people who are very like, you need to just love and light your way out of everything. And I personally think, and a lot of people in the spirituality community think, that like this is essentially a psyop to prevent you from like doing the shadow work necessarily to actually spiritually evolve.
What's shadow work?
Shadow work is like dealing with the darker elements.
Yeah.
Like not like doing like black magic or witchcraft or whatever. It's like just recognizing that there's like the yin and the yang, you know, there's the dark and the light and the dark, and you have to like balance these forces.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about like love and lighting your way out of anything.
Yeah.
And so like in a lot of ways, I think like false light and the kind of like really like cringe spirituality people that are like, bro, just be a good vibe. Like they are like distracting you from your deeper spiritual journey.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like to put that in there because I feel like it's just like a psyop. It's like, is it intentional or not? I don't know, but it's like definitely like it's a diversion from the true path. Okay, let's go to the next tier.
Okay, yeah.
We brought up Kundalini harvesting earlier. You said you'd like to do some Kundalini harvesting.
Yeah, isn't Kundalini like sexual energy or something?
Yeah, so Kundalini is like the
wait. Yes, Age of Aquarius telepathy. We skipped that.
No, we got there. I talked about how we lost telepathy at the fall of Atlantis and we're getting it back.
Okay, you must have snuck that in.
No, we did talk about this because it was like how we need to earn these gifts ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Galactic Federation Council.
They can't intervene.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to intervene.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I'm back.
Kundalini harvesting. So Kundalini is like it's like sexual energy, but it's like I don't know. It's like, you know how people say like, oh, creative energy and sexual energy are the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Kundalini is more like a over like power, you know, kind of thing. And it's supposed to be like a snake that like is all up your spine. And so to harvest someone's Kundalini, you have to go to the base of the spine.
Is it in the spinal fluid?
No, it's...
You need a spinal tap?
What's the base of the spine?
The genitals?
No.
What, the sacrum? Or what?
In the back.
Uh-huh.
So...
The butthole.
I just had to throw this one in here because I thought you'd like it.
Okay, damn.
So when you say you want to do some Kundalini harvesting.
Oh, damn. Okay. Well, you know, if it's a lady.
Right. Well, this is like part of the lore of like why the like pedophile, like the gay pedophiles are doing their thing. Is they're trying to harvest Kundalini from young men.
And they'll keep trying, you know, as many times as it takes.
As they need to harvest that Kundalini.
Yeah.
So I just want to put that in there because that's just like, you know.
You want to put that in there?
Well, if you start at like at the top, like humiliation rituals, Hollywood Satanists, it's like eventually you get down to Kundalini harvesting.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, got it.
Like that's the bottom
yeah.
of this.
Yeah. Well, we're not at the bottom yet.
Yeah, reptilian
people.
bloodlines is also
We're
part
at
of it.
4. We're at a 4 out of 5.
We're at 4 out of 5. So that's what Kundalini harvesting is.
I think that's a useful metric for us. Is, you know, are we a 1 out of 5? Are we a 5 out of 5? Like, where are we on the scale? You know?
Yeah, I mean, Kundalini harvesting isn't even 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
But that was just kind of funny. You know, that's why it's not 5 out of 5. It's like a bit it's a bit all right,
humorous,
whatever.
Yeah. I mean, the sinister homosexuals, they know something.
Yeah. They're harvesting Kundalini.
They really are.
Yeah.
All the time.
That's kind of ties into adrenochrome because adrenochrome is a similar idea.
Yeah, right.
It's like you're drinking the blood of young people in order to like harvest their like.
Well, not the blood. You're drinking this like signaling hormone, right?
But it's like in their blood.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with the problem with using hormones in this way is that like basically your body has all these like drug pumps, which are like glands, right? And these glands want to do things like signal that you should like eat the food because you're hungry. You should run away because you're scared. right? And they want to fill your body with hormones, signaling chemicals, so that you then go act on this impulse that it creates in you, or it, you get an aroused physiological state. But like, you eat the food, you're not hungry anymore. You have sex with somebody, you're not horny anymore. It's not the optimal activity to reproduce anymore. They want that signaling to go down, right? So hormones in their natural forms have very, very, very short half-lives. So they might be intense, but they're not really useful as drugs. Like, bodybuilders don't take testosterone in the form that the male body produces it, because it would be active and then it would go away. They'd have to be constantly, literally microdosing testosterone. Like,
maybe Hillary Clinton is.
Well, she's macrodosing testosterone.
I was gonna say the adrenochrome.
Yeah, but like, you would have to be microdosing it with some kind of drug pump, literally. Like, and so all of the forms of but the upshot of that is that you can create other forms of the chemical that, through various chemical tricks, aren't immediately bioavailable and circulate in your bloodstream or are stored in your fat and are slowly broken down by your body into the bioavailable form of the molecule. So you get a consistent level of the desired hormone.
Sure.
So for adrenochrome, it's probably not actually adrenochrome. It's probably they're probably taking the adrenochrome out of the young people and turning it into some sort of adrenochrome analog. They're processing it. They're adding a lysine group or something, and then you have to break off the lysine group for it to have the activity like that you desire, right? And then it's like stable serum levels for like a long time. So probably they're using the adrenochrome as like a source material in this like process.
Okay, that's interesting, because I didn't really believe in adrenochrome, but now you kind of got me believing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Now, because I kind of was like, the physiology doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, adrenochrome is like a panic reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's in Fear and Loathing Las Vegas. He says, like, one thing I'll never do is adrenochrome.
Yeah.
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 Chewing on like a gland.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like adrenochrome is just like, it's kind of the end of QAnon. Not the end, like, but that's like, so you get to the bottom of QAnon.
Yeah.
It's like adrenochrome is like one of the big things.
What are like the core tenets of QAnon on here?
Hollywood Satanists.
Yeah.
Humiliation rituals. Yeah. Transhumanism is also a little bit part of it. Like, they're doing weird experiments and stuff.
Yeah. Do they even get to 5 out of 5?
Reptilian bloodlines.
Okay.
Yeah,
they get there.
bloodlines.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I would say reptilian bloodlines. It ties into a lot of things. That's why I put it in 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, certainly they think like Hillary Clinton's a reptile.
Yeah, I mean,
so maybe
naturally.
the reptiles just want blood for other reasons. They might have totally different things going on.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
So I don't know. Adrenochrome might just be like a little bit like off the mark. But let's see. What else should we I'm trying to think. Oh, Saturn cube, because remember you brought that up earlier.
Yeah, my tefillin.
Okay, so the Saturn cube is basically, so in ancient astrology, Saturn was the furthest out planet we could see. And so Saturn was considered to kind of be like hell. And so the symbol for Saturn, which was like kind of like Saturn worship and like Saturn occultists.
Who are the Greek and Roman gods associated with Saturn?
Saturn is the Roman one, or Greek?
Yeah,
and then
it's Roman.
And then Greek is Kronos.
Yeah, got it.
Father Time.
Yep, got it. Yeah.
So, so basically, like the Saturn worshippers, which were kind of like the Satanists, occultists, like whatever, they used a black cube to represent Saturn. And so the thought is like, whenever you see black cubes, either in like statues or in religious ideology or symbolism, that like the black cube is actually kind of like a devil worship thing.
Yeah, right.
And that's why when you brought out the tefillin, I was like, we'll get to the Saturn cube, because it is the black cube.
Sometimes, Erin,
yeah,
a pipe is just a pipe.
Well, it's true, but the interesting thing about the Saturn cube is that, like, in theory, at that time, we didn't know what Saturn looked like, right?
Yeah.
But then when you look at like high def images of Saturn now, are you familiar with the hexagons at the poles?
Yeah, I've seen the hexagons.
What happens when you look at a cube and you try to make it into a one-dimensional structure?
Good call.
The hexagon.
What do we think about the hexagons?
Could be a portal to hell. I don't know. Some people think Saturn is a prison colony.
Yeah. What do you think about the hexagons?
I don't think Saturn is like, I mean, Saturn literally is the devil, like in tarot. Like that is the association. But the devil is more about confronting darker elements in yourself and becoming the master of them. That's why like the devil has like these people in chains.
Yeah.
It's like he's like controlling like darker impulses essentially.
Right.
So it's like I don't really believe in hell in like again, I'm not like a love and light. Like it feels very love and light to me. It's like, oh, just hate the devil and love God and love and light and you'll be good. And I'm just like, I don't think that's the way things work. I think it's more like you need to be able to flow between the two and you need to be able to reconcile the two poles. What the what is going on? Oh my God. Wait, that's crazy.
Okay, guys, we're back. My big candle was leaking
really
wax onto the
crazy.
floor. Yeah, I thought
It was like a flood.
Yeah, I thought I left a tap on or something.
No, it was a lot of liquid.
Yeah.
Well,
we're letting it dry.
They don't want us talking about the duality of light and dark. They don't want us investigating the Saturn cube. That's why they distracted us.
Yeah, I mean, you know another famous cube. What's the most famous black cube?
I don't know.
You don't?
The in Mecca?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
when you start seeing the black cube, it's like you realize like, uh-oh.
Yeah, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
That's right,
the Saturn worshippers are everywhere.
Yeah, but isn't that good, maybe, worshipping Saturn?
Well, like the kind of like love and light Christian people would say like Saturn is the devil. It's devil worship.
Yeah, I see.
I'm kind of like, I think you have to sort of like leave your offerings to Saturn. You have to leave your offerings to Jupiter. Like you have to kind of like appease them all. It's a pantheon. Yeah. Like I'm more like polytheistic. Like
you're a pagan. You're a pagan.
Yeah, I'm pagan. So it's like, yeah, you can't like upset Saturn. Yeah. I don't know that you should become like a Saturn worshiper. Like it's a little bit weird, but it's like, I don't think you should like act like Saturn is this like evil entity that you want nothing to do with. Mm-hmm. Like he controls important things. You know? Yeah. Sometimes you need his help.
Yeah.
So Saturn cube, I just like that one because it's like whenever you see it everywhere. Like, yeah, the Saturn cube's in Mecca. The Saturn cube is being tied to the Jews. You know? Why are they doing that?
True. True.
Like, what's up with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
This ties a little bit into like Earth is hell, which is like more my belief. I think if there's any hell, like we're in it right now. Like literally, I think it's
we're
like
in
here.
it. We're on 4chan posting about it. We're watching TikToks about it.
We're suffering. Like we suffer a lot here.
Yeah.
You know, like I think like we're being tested here. And like I don't think it's necessarily like we're gonna ascend to some like pleasure dome where like there's no suffering or there's like 72 virgins waiting for us or whatever.
Yeah.
But like I think if hell exists, like we're in it.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's definitely the Buddhist belief.
Yeah.
Right?
I more subscribe to that.
That like, I mean, the Buddhist beliefs get pretty psychedelic. Like that there's like realms upon realms upon realms of these different like I mean like it's these you've got to go through this like cycle of like birth and death and rebirth, and usually you are like you die in this realm, and if you're good you go up to like one realm above, or you're like slightly better, and these other realms above are just like inconceivable. They're like, you know, the beings there live for thousands of years, and then in the realm above the beings live for hundreds and hundreds of aeons of billions and billions of trillions of years, and they are engrossed in their like inconceivable like pleasures and politics and etc. And they're not a lot of them are like good, you know. I believe that Buddha was one person who like was born into a human body, and the end goal is enlightenment,
right?
To get
he got the whole way there.
Yeah, to make it through life undefiled and not give in to mental proliferations, and somehow he made it like all the way up in one go. Yeah. It's interesting. I remember reading a description of the enlightened state according to like I think Vedics, basically, some sort of like dharmic like philosopher, and they sort of, their description of enlightenment was not super appealing to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was this like stasis where you were like, everybody was like perfectly separated from each other. Like everybody had like all the space that they needed, but they were separate from each other with like no want and like no desire and like no pleasure and no pain, just existing in sort of like perfect flow state. And this is, I get it, you know, like if that's all you, if you don't desire anything and all you want to do is chill, you are living your best life.
Mm-hmm. But
it's not a life that's necessarily appealing to me. I like some change. I like some whatever. And obviously the Buddhists would say, well, that's desire. That's desire for change. That's desire for pleasure. I don't know. I got my aesthetics and I'm sticking to them.
Well, that's why, like, you know, when we talk about like, you're like, oh, the goal is to like, is to reduce suffering.
Yeah.
Like that's essentially the Buddhist idea, right? Where it's like, but to me, the reason why I don't think necessarily the goal is to reduce suffering is because I think I'm very like yin yang karma maxi, where I'm like suffering also begets happiness and pleasure.
The goal is not exactly to reduce suffering. Like I think Buddhists believe that suffering is bad, but the goal is to reduce attachment and desire.
Mm-hmm. I'm saying you often say that the goal is to reduce suffering, like on like a worldwide level.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that's straightforwardly my belief.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like there's just nothing else that strikes me as being particularly bad. Like if you look at things I don't like authoritarianism or fiat or whatever, you know, the reason I don't like them is I think that in the end they produce a lot of suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we could create like a communist government that told everybody what to do and it worked really well, like sign me up. Like, yeah, hell yeah, I'll go live in the CCP, you know, China, and like I'll, you know, fucking, you know, be under their thumb if they're like enlightened rulers and everything is great and harmonious. Like, why not? But that's not like the way that it works. These things that I don't like, they cause suffering ultimately. So, yeah, I guess that's straightforward to me. And that's straightforwardly what I would say my belief is. My sort of moral compass or my moral axioms that I accept.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe your beliefs as being different?
I mean, I think on a civilizational level, it makes sense. It's like if we're entering into social contracts and we have to agree to the terms of the social contract, I think it's a reasonable thing to say, okay, let's reduce the suffering that we cause each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think on like a personal level, like suffering is always an Overton window that just moves wherever you move. You know?
Do you know the concept of the hedonic treadmill?
Yeah, exactly.
You're always just climbing. You're just running on the hedonic treadmill, and something that was amazing yesterday is routine today, and you're grasping for the next thing.
Yeah. But I think that's why, like, the whatever one must imagine Sisyphus enjoys pushing the rock up the hill or whatever, like that.
Maybe he's got a little half chub, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like he's suffering, but he kind of likes it. Like you have to believe that. I think like like if you get to the bottom of like existentialist like philosophy, you have to believe that there's purpose in your suffering, or that your suffering is somehow tied to your enjoyment of life.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just cope. But like I do think that seems to be a rule of Earth realm, which is why I say Earth might be hell. You know, that's why I'm like a little bit like bearish on Earth.
Yeah,
like
I think
I'm like,
that's fair.
I also think like I personally believe that like we chose to be here, which is not in like when we get to level 5, there's something that I disagree with. That's like the opposite opinion of that.
Mm-hmm.
I personally believe that we chose to be here. We chose to engage in the soul contracts that we engaged in.
We're jumping ahead.
Well, I just want to kind of flesh out the idea of like, when I say like Earth is hell, it's like, I don't necessarily think that means that like suffering, like we are just like suffering. It's all bad. It's all shitty. Like life here sucks. It's like, I think there's like a lot of beautiful things about this realm. And I think like we choose the good with the bad, and we like know that that's part of it, and we choose it anyway, you know? So that's where I would say I differ a little bit from like a Buddhist ideology is like, yeah, the idea of like pure enlightenment, of like total isolation, detachment, whatever, is like not super appealing to me personally. But maybe that's because I'm like under evolved. I don't know, but it is what it is, you know?
Yeah. Wait, but why is it not appealing to you? I kind of don't get that. Like, square that circle.
I mean, I think there's like I love intense emotions. Like I love loving people. I love like even darkness I love. You know, I find it interesting. Like I'm very like, I feel like I'm a very passionate person.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so the thought of becoming someone who's more and more detached, in some ways, I think I can benefit from that. And obviously, like, I think there's ways in which, like, especially like my emotional reactions to things, the more that you can like detach yourself and like be like, okay, I'm experiencing this emotion, but that doesn't mean that it's like true or real or everything or whatever. Like that's
I'm
a useful.
high now, but I didn't break my brain, and I'm gonna be high forever.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a good tool, I think, to be able to detach. But like, I love my passionate life. You know, I love like being very inspired and very into things. And I also think like if that comes with a contract of a level of suffering, like that's something I'm willing to agree to.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think that where the Buddhists and you differ is that the Buddhists think that suffering is bad and that pleasure does not balance out suffering.
Yeah, I mean, I think
there's actually a technical term for this. It's called a negative utilitarian. It's basically like utilitarians are people that believe that, okay, we need to get the most utility, right? The most positive utility. That, okay, we just like get the positive utility, like people being happy, whatever, people eating hamburgers and wearing hats and going to the beach. And that you can balance out the negative utility, people being suffering, being miserable, being tortured, dying, with the positive utility. The negative utilitarians say no amount of positive utility can balance out negative utility. The only goal that we should have is to reduce negative utility. And so in a lot of ways, the Buddhist idea that like suffering is bad and the only way to get rid of suffering is to reduce attachment, and the pleasures of the flesh are not valuable at all. It sounds like that's the part that you kind of reject. You think you would prefer a life with suffering and happiness.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit of just like an East versus West thing as well, where it's like, you know, I think Western, like Judeo-Christian or whatever religions are much more about like exceptionalism. Like they're more about like, this is how you live a good life.
Right.
Like that's the focus. And I think like Eastern religions are more about like mediating suffering. And that could just be because of the civilizations, you know?
Sure.
Like I think Buddhism also came out of like a high suffering society. Whereas like I think
came
like
out of India, right?
Yeah. Like I feel like it's just a level of like
suffering in India.
I mean, yeah, you know, it's like, I don't know, like obviously there's suffering everywhere, but it's like, I think it is also like, for some people, it may be true that like the suffering outweighs the positivity. And so detaching oneself is the only path to living like a truly good life or whatever you want to call it. Whereas like, I don't know, I think I'm very blessed, fortunate. Like, have they tried being like a beautiful woman with an incredible mind? You know?
So true, Queen. So true when you think about it, Queen.
Like, it's like, I don't know, like my life is like awesome, you know? Like, and that doesn't mean it's perfect, but it's like, I would want to live it every time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's how I feel when I'm happy. I think like, yeah, like, you know, I've had my ups and downs, but God damn it, is it fucking worth it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Earth might be hell, and I might have chosen that.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
Yeah.
What else?
We're like
do we have in here?
one more spin. Let's do it.
Yeah. One more spin. Yeah, exactly. Like old soul.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of that, NPCs.
Yep, NPCs.
So NPCs, I feel like this gets into like the dark side of starseeds.
Yeah, I think that NPCs is a really interesting concept because it's both a dark concept if it were true.
Yeah.
And it's a dark concept if you believe it, right? If you think that some people are simply not ensouled, they're in some sense have no inner life. They are P zombies, as the rationalists would call them.
You're able to excuse a lot of things.
You're able to excuse a lot of things. I mean, you can just murder one. Do you know what a P zombie is?
No.
P zombie is short for, or an acronym or whatever, for philosophical zombie. It's a hypothetical person who, it's like a philosophical thought experiment. It's a hypothetical person who behaves outwardly as a human, exactly like a human, but they have no inner life. They have no inner monologue. They have no feeling, right? And in this world, like, can you just go murder one?
Yeah.
And the answer is like, well, obviously, like try to have humility in my ideas. And I think that taking ideas to their horrible logical conclusions is like not very good. But like, yeah, in such a thought experiment, a person like that would have no like moral basis for, I would have no moral basis for objecting to killing them. They'd be like a coffee table that you're throwing away, right? And if you believe in NPCs, then you believe that some people essentially have no moral worth. Nothing is stopping you from doing them harm. If they want to do you harm, you have no requirement to try to like run away or like whatever. You can just execute them, you know? So it's dark if it's true. It's dark if like half the people on Earth are unensouled zombies walking around with no inner life, just taking ideas and sticking in their head and treating that as like the new programming. But it's also very dark if you believe that.
The problem is sometimes it do feel like that.
Sometimes it do be that way. It do be that way.
I think that's the thing. That's why it's like I put it like deep down in the iceberg, because it's like I understand why people believe that. And like I kind of believe it too.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like if you actually were to
take it to
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like with all of these, it's like you can kind of start with like, oh my God, maybe I'm a starseed. Like maybe I'm like not even from here. Maybe I'm different, you know? And then it's like you keep like going deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's like at some point you do, if you're not being grounded and humble with it, you can become just like a total spiritual egomaniac.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So
yeah, damn, I had a thought. What was it? NPCs. No, I lost it. Let's keep going.
I mean, I'm sure you relate, like, you know, like sometimes it does feel like you're just living in a sea of NPCs.
Sure, yeah, but a lot of things stop me. A lot of my own like sort of beliefs and habits and like moral habits stop me from taking stuff like that to their horrible conclusions. Like,
yeah,
one is I think it's always really important to be like, well, what if I'm wrong? You know, and then holy shit, you're executing a person. What the fuck are you doing, right? Or like, what if I'm wrong about believing that everybody's an NPC? Like, okay, then they're just a little like fucked up, you know, they're ensouled. They're just a little like whatever.
Well, I also think like you can believe people are NPCs and also like not like be like, well, then I should murder them. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
like I think there's like a level of like engaging with the idea that's like, it just like helps you.
It's about humility. It's about having humility in like, well, how strongly should I believe this? And how much do I believe this is true? And like, okay, maybe I believe an idea is true, but it leads me in a really ugly direction. And so I'm going to be like, yeah, you know, it's not worth it, you know?
Yeah, I would say the way that I most like integrate the idea of NPCs into my actual life is like
your spiritual practice.
Yeah. It is like just feeling gratitude when I meet what I would call ensouled people. Like sometimes you meet people and they're really like very obviously not NPCs.
Yeah.
And like if you imagine like, I mean, okay, let's thought experiment. Let's say that like 98% of the population is NPCs, right? Like not 50, but like 98%. And there's only 2% of us that are like walking around like ensouled trying to like figure this shit out.
Yeah.
When you meet someone else, like that's a gift, you know? Like it's an awesome feeling when you like meet someone who's like truly like on their own mission, like and I feel like that is also the experience of my life a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And so I try to think of it more like, you know, I don't know if other people are conscious. No one can know that. You know that you're conscious. You can never know that other people are conscious or that they even exist. But like, if it's true that some people are just like NPCs and some people are more conscious, like I just feel grateful when I meet and connect with people that I feel that like consciousness resonating, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's just a gift.
Yeah.
You know, we're all just trying to figure it out.
Yep.
And maybe everyone's ensouled and you just don't relate or connect to everyone.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like I do think it's like, and the NPC concept, I think it resonates because it like is a relatable feeling.
Yeah, well, I mean, the way that I believe in the NPC concept is that I think a lot of people just take external beliefs and plug them into their own heads.
Yeah.
And they don't think about the consequences. They are in their like consensus bubble, and then they take ideas in their consensus bubble that are just totally wrong and start believing them because that's what other people around them believe. And but the moderating factor is like, I get it. Like you're in this consensus bubble. Like how could you not believe the things that you know that you don't think that there is any alternative to, you know? I mean, I really try to see the best in people. One thing I've found is that most people are an expert in something, like a deep, deep expert. And if you find that thing, then you can have an amazing conversation with that person about that thing. And who gives a shit about their weird like political beliefs, you know? I personally think that arguing about politics is arguing about consensus politics is fucking stupid. It's fucking stupid. It doesn't matter what you think. You don't have any control over the situation. Whatever side you're on, you are a pawn in a much, much larger game that simply does not concern you.
Yeah.
And if you choose to be angry all the time about this fucking bullshit and not, you know, enjoy the company of the people around you, you're fucking stupid. You're fucking stupid.
Just see if you can find an entrance to the Hollow Earth.
Yeah, that's
like
a much
spend
better.
your time.
It's a
doing
much better
that.
use. Like find like go to the Akashic Records.
Go to the Akashic Records. See what's there.
Yeah,
let us know if there's anything interesting.
Like and subscribe in the comments if you see something interesting in the Akashic Records.
Honestly, guys, please do let us know. We're very curious.
And please do like and subscribe.
And please do like and subscribe.
Yeah, but like, you know, like, yeah, like go find John Pork. He's out there.
He's out there.
Yeah.
If only you would, if only we would look.
Yeah, the Truth and John Pork are both out there.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Just seek, you know?
Yeah, oh my God, did you hear my hip hop? That was crazy.
No.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So I don't know, NPCs, I think it's just like one of those things where it starts to get into like
I probably thought it was my own body. I'm
exactly.
getting up here, it's all getting creaky, you know?
I know. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I feel like NPCs, like I get it. It's just like you have to be humble.
Yep.
That's really the secret to all of this. Like just don't go into like full spiritual narcissism and like you're probably fine.
Never go full spiritual narcissism.
What else do we have here? Okay, so we talked about Hollow Earth in the previous tier.
I don't know if I'm ready for the Hollow Moon.
It's a tier below. I mean, I told you I don't believe in the Hollow Earth. I definitely don't believe in the Hollow Moon.
Uh-huh.
The Hollow Moon is, do you know David Icke? Icke, I think is his last name.
No, I don't.
David Icke is like, I feel like he's like a step further than Alex Jones.
Okay.
But he's like a conspiracy
theorist. Such a thing as possible?
Oh, I mean, there's lots of people further than Alex Jones.
Okay.
But he's like popular and further than Alex Jones.
How have I not heard of this man?
I think he's just too far.
Okay.
Like it's like kind of just like.
What's his vibe?
So I feel like he's very like like a lot of the stuff down here is kind of like getting into the David Icke territory.
I see.
So
what's his vibe like? Like, what does he look like? Like, is he right wing coded
yeah,
or left wing coded?
Right
he's
wing coded. Yeah.
Okay, and he's like, what's his like politics?
He's probably like a Lemurian type racist where he's like, oh, the like
it's fucked up that we're so deep in the episode that I know what you mean.
Yeah, I meant to say he's a Hyperborean type racist. Like he's probably like the Nazis were looking for Hyperborea and they were right to do that and they went to Antarctica and they found it and like
right.
You know what I mean? Like he's like that kind of like World War II wasn't about the Holocaust. World War II was about like Hyperborea. Yeah,
they didn't want the Aryans to awaken or some shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
Hitler was onto something.
Hitler's onto something. Yeah, he had some good ideas. One of those people. Yeah.
So basically, like the Hollow Moon kind of relates to the Saturn cube.
Mm-hmm.
The idea with the Hollow Moon is that like the Saturn cube and like the Saturn prison colony is basically like using vibes to like keep us spiritually suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
Like we want to ascend our consciousness to the 5D, but there's all these forces like 5G.
Wait, slow down, Erin. You got to slow down.
Okay,
you can't just rush over things like
sorry. I'm using a lot of too much technical terms.
Yeah, a lot of jargon.
Yeah.
A lot of jargon. Yeah. Okay.
So we want to like, as a collective consciousness, we want to like ascend, right?
Yep.
But whoever they is, like in the Saturn prison colony or whatever the fuck, they don't want us to ascend, and so they are like using 5G and like all these like terrible things to like keep our consciousness and our frequency
they're
low.
Just frying our fucking noodles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so the Hollow Moon is basically this idea that like the moon is like
what's in there?
It's just like a way for them to like transmit low vibrational frequencies to Earth from Saturn.
Okay, and presumably like that's why the moon needs to be so big, because the lower the frequencies, the longer the waveform.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like
it's a resonance chamber.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't work if it was smaller. It couldn't get the sufficiently large waveforms.
Indeed.
Yeah. Did you know that well, yeah, of course you know, like that if you want to get these very, very low frequency signals, you need massive antennas because they need to roughly match the waveform of the signal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
So the moon.
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
Shout out to Matt Wraith, friend of the podcast, for teaching us all about
The hollow moon.
Physics, I was going to
What
say.
about the Hyperboreans?
No, I was going to say physics. I was going to say physics. He's a physicist. Wavelengths. It's good to think about
He
that
taught us
stuff.
that Hitler's alive in Antarctica.
Matt Wraith did not teach us. Matt Wraith is a serious adult who works at Bitnomial, the Bitcoin Futures and Options Exchange. That is very, very scrupulous and well regulated, and he does not believe such things. He believes in physics.
Yep.
So he doesn't. I'm not trolling. So he I think physics is one of the most psychedelic things. I actually do.
It's cool.
You don't agree?
No, I think it's cool.
Okay. You
I
actually
said
think it's cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's cool.
I was just trying to suss out what you were.
No, I think it's cool.
Okay, yeah. No, because I think that the deal is that physics is a realm of science that uncovers uncomfortable truths. That over and over and over again, we have a model and then we dig a little bit deeper and that model is wrong. That model cannot make the predictions that we want to be able to make about the world. And physics it's an interesting science. Ultimately, it's a science that's about being able to make more and more accurate predictions about things that we care about, right? If you throw the ball, where will it land? If you build the microchip, will it work? If you make the medicine, will the pharmacokinetics be correct? It's about answering questions about the world, the universe, how things work, which is very interesting. And unlike mathematics, physics has an external reality that you are interacting with. Things in math are true and they can be interesting and they can be beautiful.
Like theoretical though.
Yeah, ultimately there is no checks and balances like there in physics. In physics, you do the calculations and then you build the rocket and it takes you to the moon or it does not.
To the hollow moon.
To the hollow moon. Takes you to the moon and inside the moon. But I think that that's very interesting. I mean, physics essentially you could easily make a physics iceberg meme where we have these things that are very, very fucking strange. And you see seekers in physics also in some ways getting confused. So for example, the many worlds hypothesis. Are you familiar with that? Yeah. So it's the hypothesis that, these results in physics that show us that light is taking, all these paths, that actually this means that there's many worlds existing simultaneously. And the people who believe the many worlds hypothesis, they're deeply, deeply lost. They don't understand what's going on. What's going on is actually just that the waves that ultimately make up everything are taking all paths at all possible times, but in a lot of places they're canceling out. And that those places where they cancel out, we don't perceive anything to be there. And then the places where they don't cancel out, we perceive something to be there. It's like the people who believe in the many worlds hypothesis haven't really grokked the wave particle duality of physics. They think oh yeah, it really is kind of all particles and maybe there are many worlds. It's no, it's just wave interference, right? So I think that it has a lot of parallels. It has a lot of deep ideas and this concept of models turning out to be wrong in subtle ways, and in very uncomfortable ways. People did not like the fact over and over again, you have people aesthetically objecting to new paradigms of physics. Einstein famously tried to prove quantum physics incorrect. He said, God does not play dice with the world.
Yeah. He needs to get into the spirituality iceberg.
Yeah, then maybe
he needs to reconcile some spiritual truths.
Maybe maybe then he would realize that God plays dice with the world.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going.
That was your takeaway from the hollow moon.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I got on this resonance chamber shit, and I was thinking about wavelengths, and I was thinking about the big antennas, and then I was like, shit, physics is crazy.
Yeah, and here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Yeah, okay.
I don't believe in the hollow moon.
Yeah, hollow moon is bullshit. Why not? This resonance chamber thing is pretty plausible.
I just don't think that I don't think there's a whole big scheme trying to keep us down.
Yeah.
I think the Galactic Federation Council is trying to help us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I don't even mean that in a I think they're bureaucrats. I don't even think they're necessarily It's literally the same way I feel about
might-
normal politics conspiracies.
They might not even really be knowing that we're existing. We're like some tick mark on their like thing. You know?
I just don't think that like the evil forces are that organized. Like generally speaking.
Can I modify the hollow moon a little bit?
Sure, go for it. You can make your own hollow moon.
Yeah, my own hollow moon is that it is a resonance chamber, but it's a natural resonance chamber.
And we could be using it for like any vibes.
Well, of course, naturally, depending on the orientation of the planets, it's going to be channeling vibrations from different celestial bodies.
Right.
Right. And, it just depends on what is going to be hitting Earth at any time. And maybe who are the main proponents of the hollow moon resonance chamber theory?
David Icke, I would say, is the big one.
David Icke woke up one day and he felt like big mad Saturn energy, and he was like, "It's Saturn, and the Satan worshippers are up there in Saturn. It's going through the hollow moon." And it was just the hollow moon happened to be aligned with Saturn like that day. And he got a little piece of it,
right.
But he didn't get the full picture, the fact that it changes, the fact that the other planets come into alignment with it.
You're coming up with some interesting astrological theories here.
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
Anything I put my mind to, like
you can come up with ordinals for astrology.
Yeah, the man who can give numbers to sats. Okay.
He can come up with his own hollow moon theory.
Well, but I really like the idea of taking a theory that you don't like, that you don't believe in, and I like seeing something cool in it.
Yeah.
Like the resonance chamber thing is really cool. You would actually need a big ass resonance chamber to constructively to get the constructive interference necessary to build up the waves, right?
Yeah.
Flat out, right?
You're thinking.
Yeah, now I'm cooking with gas.
You got your yarmulke on.
Yeah. I'm gonna blow it right off the top of my head.
Yeah. You're gonna ascend into the 5D consciousness straight through the yarmulke.
Straight through the yarmulke. Yeah, that's right. No, the yarmulke's coming with me. If I'm going to the Akashic Records, I am going to cover my head before God.
Yeah.
All right, like I'm doing it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. That's another thing. Like I go through waves of Judaism being like the spirituality aspect of Judaism being appealing to me.
That's cool.
Yeah, and like some of them, there is really good stuff there. Like there's a lot of really good stuff. Like on Passover, you're supposed to eat the matzah dry, and it's kind of not supposed to taste good. And you're supposed to think about the suffering of the Jews in Egypt and the fact that they had to book it out of there.
Right.
And all they could take with them
was really dry there.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they were suffering, they were enslaved, right? And all they could take with them, all they could make in time was unleavened bread. That's why they couldn't let it rise. They had to get out. And after you do that, you eat your, dry ass matzah while you go like, damn, this fucking sucks. Like, when is the rest of Passover dinner going to happen? Like, let's move it along. After that, you are, really encouraged to, eat more matzah and eat it with something sweet. Eat it with, some honey, and think about how that suffering in the past, the circumstances of, our Jewish forebears, brought us, to the state we are today of like freedom, So there's like, you can always see the interesting qualities of these ideas, the interesting and useful qualities of these ideas, even though I don't know if it's strictly true. Like, could the Jews, was there a historical group that was enslaved in Egypt that had to leave, they had to get out, and they only could take unleavened bread? Like, is that a story that was actually passed from, rabbi to rabbi to rabbi to rabbi to rabbi to rabbi to me in like this unbroken chain where it was like communicated correctly and it's all factually accurate? I don't know, but this yearly practice of remembrance of suffering in the past and appreciation for freedom in the present is
it's a nice takeaway.
That's great. It's beautiful.
I mean, I think about how like when there's drama with your friends and you hear it from one person and then it's a totally different story than you hear from the other.
Yeah, I mean, you talk to one rabbi, he tells you one thing. You talk to another rabbi and he tells you another thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's
what
like,
they say?
I don't know.
10 rabbis, 11 opinions.
I don't know that there is a truth to anything in a way.
Yeah, true.
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like, it's
absolutely.
just like everyone has their own take.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe you and me have different beliefs about like the strength of like base external reality. Like, I tend to believe that this is where we switch Mulder and Scully. where I think kind of like, yeah, there is a truth out there and we can like mostly get to it. And it's like, you know, for example, like, let's say you have something which is a probability distribution, you know, and you don't know the shape of the probability distribution. And it's really easy to go like, yeah, no, it's random. There's no pattern there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And just be like, yeah, there's nothing there. That's whatever. Like that's, you know, there's, it's chaotic. It's just chaos. It's just noise. But you're thinking that it's going to be a single like number, but actually it's a probability distribution.
Yeah.
And you can say that the height of the probability distribution and the thickness of the tails, you can usefully describe the probability distribution. And I think a lot of people have kind of black and white thinking. And so
it's either 1 or 0.
It's 1 or 0. I fall for that sometimes. But in reality, underneath the ones and the zeros, there's voltages. There's electrical voltages.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there's shit like 0.7.
So true.
You know? And that's just like the deal. And you can't get confused expecting a 1 or a 0 when base reality is in fact more complicated than that.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Well, we really are at level 4.
Oh, I don't know. I think if we're really getting somewhere.
Should I talk about the dinosaurs being an experiment?
Yeah. Who is experimenting?
Well, we don't really know.
Sure, yeah.
But this is kind of an idea that's passed around a lot. Is just that the dinosaurs were sort of like the last experiment. Like humans are the current experiment.
Oh, they were the previous experiment.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, sorry, the previous experiment.
Yeah.
Like Earth is like a test tube, you know? And like we're the current thing that's playing out. And the dinosaurs were the previous one. And when the experiment was over, they sent the comet, the asteroid, the whatever, the meteor. And they ended the experiment.
Oh, damn.
So it's kind of like a bit of like a that's why I put it kind of low, because it's a bit dark. It's
Yeah,
like they could decide to end our experiment at any time.
Yeah, but they're still
Who's they? I don't know.
Yeah, but the dinosaurs are still here. They're in your backyard chilling.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Erin keeps chickens.
Yeah. That's very true.
And chickens are descended from dinosaurs.
And also the reptilian bloodlines are still alive and well.
maybe they didn't quite successfully end the experiment.
Yeah.
Like they let Hillary Clinton live.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the dinosaurs were an experiment, like we're an experiment.
Yeah,
so it's a bit like
Uh-huh.
I think the last one on this level is DMT Clockwork Elves. Did you ever meet the Clockwork Elves? Machine elves?
No, I mean I did a little bit of DMT.
I never have done DMT.
Yeah,
so.
I mean I'm like I have a sensitive mind that can be knocked off kilter.
Yeah, I don't want to do
Yeah,
that.
so I smoked a little bit of DMT, but it was like a sub like not machine elves.
Yeah,
like
you
I
weren't,
smoked
you
a little
weren't
bit.
interfacing with the machine elves.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of like patterns and I was like, yeah, I don't know like where this is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
I was with somebody who liked it a lot.
Yeah.
She was like, this is fucking rad. And she was like blasting her brain like over and over again.
She was talking to the machine elves.
She was, she was talking to the machine elves. The machine elves were talking to her. It was a party. They were doing some kind of dance. Like, yeah. But I was like, I'm just very like cautious. Like a new drug, like I don't want to be like, you know, half an hour later, I'm still like blasted out of my gourd and I'm like, how long is this gonna last?
No. Yeah.
But DMT is nice, I guess, because it's very short.
Mm-hmm.
My sort of philosophy with drugs is that, yes, it's probably possible that you can do a drug one time and it like fucks your brain. But the most likely way that drugs fuck you is by doing them over and over again, making them a habit.
Chronic use, yeah.
And also when the half-life is very, very long, right? And so you have this incredibly long, incredibly traumatic experience.
Totally.
I think if you do DMT once and you have like an absolutely like mind-blowing like 5 minutes or whatever it is, DMT is very short-lived. Yeah, it might be really intense, but that's really not long enough to like wear the weird grooves into your brain.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Clockwork Elves are basically like they're these like little elves that people all around the world claim to see in the DMT realm.
Yeah, I know.
So it's like a shared psychedelic hallucination, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, when you take drugs, you're sort of like exploring the contours of a broken computer, right? And we all have this like computer in our brain which tends to break in similar ways. And so we all feel the same broken contours of the computer when it's exposed to us by doing drugs.
Why do you think they come out as the Clockwork Elves?
I mean, could be something in our like vision system, you know, like when, you know, something gets triggered, like Like, for
Are
example,
they the IT guys?
Yeah, it could be,
You know?
I mean,
I'm just saying, like, why is it anthropomorphized in that way? Like,
well,
consistently.
we are anthropomorphizers.
Mm-hmm.
We have literal parts in our brain that anthropomorphize.
Yeah.
Like, when I look at you, I'm seeing some collection of shapes, which is a face.
Mm-hmm.
And then I am anthropomorphizing it on some deep level.
So true, King.
Yeah. When you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to avoid getting into some weird like HMP brain rot like style of conversation where
it's like inside jokes with ourselves.
Yeah, it's literal like 2 hours of Erin and Casey, the Erin and Casey inside joke show, where I say so true queen, and then you say so true king, and then I say so true queen, and then we just go back and forth.
Yeah, that's
like
the podcast.
That can't happen. Podcasts do turn into that sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
Yeah.
What if you're a real fan, then you're there for it too?
Well, here's what we need. And tell us in the comments if you think this is a good idea. First like, then subscribe, then tell us in the comments if you think this is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could have a HMP spin-out podcast. Where
we already have an HMP podcast.
No. We, the royal we.
Okay.
Somebody else could make an HMP spin-out contest.
Okay.
Somebody else could make an HMP spin-out podcast where they analyze and discuss the latest HMP episode.
Oh, yeah. People should do that.
Yeah. If you're a super fan, you can get a lot of content out of this.
Mm-hmm.
You and your friends can talk and analyze it.
Yeah.
And we can get a spin-out podcast. And I don't know where I was going, but
I'd watch your podcast.
We would watch your HMP spin-out content.
Obviously, I would.
Yeah. One thing I was thinking is we never watch our own footage.
I do. I have to watch it for the timestamps.
Oh, great. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, we should. You
You're
should
like worried about like what you've set up in there.
Yeah. But also, I think that it's an important part of improving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was thinking about in the contest of these podcasts get stuck. They just do like these things. They're caught in this loop. They're stupid. They're only appealing to the in group.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And one thing that I should probably do if I want to get better at making this podcast is watch the footage of every episode.
You should watch it. It's good. We're funny.
Okay. Hell yeah.
I like watching. I rewatch for the timestamps every week. I just do it on like 2x speed or whatever, so it's not like I'm really like whatever. But
yeah, because you said it, so you know what's coming.
Yeah, I kind of know like, okay, we're gonna talk about this for 10 minutes and then whatever. So I skip around, but like I watch stuff every time.
Yeah.
And we're funny. I always laugh.
Good. I'm happy. That's great. That's awesome. But I think it's important if you want to improve at something that you watch it, because I'll have notes for myself that you wouldn't.
Yeah.
You give me reads, I give myself notes.
Yeah, I also just like accept that you are who you are.
Right.
Like I'm like he's weird. That's fine.
Okay, well that's
so
good.
it's like maybe you would watch it and be like, oh, I shouldn't do that. Whereas I watch it and I'm like, that's who Casey is.
Yeah, right. Totally. Yeah. Maybe I'm just gonna watch it now and I'm just gonna be absolutely
You're
horrified.
Gonna be like, what the fuck did we put on the internet
for the last 2 years?
Yeah, like literally.
Yeah. Okay, so
I mean, wrapping up this tier, DMT Clockwork Elves. Really, so the only thing I really have to say, I've never seen the elves, so it's like I'm really just speaking from like what I've heard. But
haven't you had a similar experience where you've done some drug and there's some very common experience that people experience? Like
kind of.
For example, there's these tropes. There's like I'm high and I broke my brain and it's always going to be this way.
Yeah, but that's not the same as like seeing a certain hallucination, right?
Have you ever done LSD?
Yeah.
So like things kind of breathing.
Yeah, but again, it's like that kind of makes sense to me that like I'm still looking at something that I'm seeing and it's just like
right. You're saying the DMT clockwork elves are too specific.
Yeah, it's
too
highly
complicated
specific.
and specific. Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing it's some like brain structure. I'm guessing it's like some kind of whatever. It's like shorting circuits between like the part that like smells things and the part that anthropomorphizes and the part that sees. And the patterns are actually what cinnamon smells like.
Mm-hmm.
And you anthropomorphize it into an elf because, whatever. Like, no, actually, I'm just making this up. I do think it's a little sus.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah. I like the idea that they're IT guys. I mean,
they might be IT guys. What I've heard is that they're very mischievous. And sometimes sometimes they'll give you information about yourself.
This set is a death trap.
This set is crazy, dude.
This set is a death trap.
Like it's an absolute wreck.
I want to give a little bit of a character note for the DMT Clockwork Elves.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Book of Gnomes.
Okay.
It's the complete gnomes. This is a fabulous book. The gnomes are great. Like, look at this guy.
Yeah, see, like, why can't we have when you're like, oh, they're manifestation of your imagination. It's like, well, we do
This
these.
book also had titties, which was like a big
Yep.
thing for me when I was a little kid.
Yeah, happy for you.
The other thing is that gnomes are very small.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're like very little. And that means that, the titties are levitating,
Right.
because mass increases with the cube of the size.
Okay.
Like it's like the height, like it's like if something is square, the volume is like is one dimension to
Sure.
the third.
Yeah.
Right. So the gnomish titties, because they're small, they're really buoyant. They weigh.
Right.
Yeah, they're really perky.
Right.
Anyways, but I'd like to propose.
What do you have to say?
I'd like to propose that the DMT clockwork elves are actually gnomes.
Yeah, exactly. They're just some sort of pixies, fairies, like whatever,
No. More specifically, they're the gnomes.
Sure.
They're what the person
you haven't seen them.
wrote this book.
You don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna go into
You're
my.
gonna go do DMT.
I'm gonna go do DMT. Okay, and I'm gonna report back. Okay,
The Akashic Records.
I'm gonna tie you down and make you do DMT.
Right,
and you're
right.
gonna tell me how the machine gnomes. You're like you see it.
I'll be like, they are literally
They're
little guys with a
gnomes,
beard
they
and a
have
red hat.
hats. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Um,
The gnomes all live in like different places. Like, so these are like German gnomes. Oh, this is so cute. Look at this. This is a gnome saying goodbye to like a deer.
that's cute, but we gotta wrap this
And
shit
it
up.
says Slitzweitz. They said that they were making up a language, but that's definitely German. Slitzweitz is German. Like, come on, bro.
All right, we need to go to tier 5.
Okay, tier 5. I've been procrastinating because I'm scared.
You're scared.
Yeah, I'm scared of tier 5.
I will say just wrap
We are
up-
at a 5 out of 5. Okay,
We're at a 5
we
out of
are
5.
At full.
It's not that bad.
The Alpha, Bravo,
You earned it.
Charlie, Delta, A B C D E, Echo. We're at tier
We're
Echo.
at Echo.
Yeah.
You earned it. You got here. You know what I mean?
DEFCON
Like,
Echo.
I think you're fine.
Yeah.
So
Hillary Clinton.
yeah, I feel like really the tier 5, a lot of it is kind of like it's the dead end
Oh, it's
of
the dead
certain
end.
ideologies. So reptilian bloodlines.
Which is your favorite tier?
I like all of them. I feel like 2 and 3 are like the most like relatable to me.
Jesus is a mushroom is your thing. Adrenochrome is too far.
Yeah, like I don't really like. I feel like it's like I'll go there, but I don't try to like linger.
You don't want to stay there.
Yeah,
You want to get in, you want to get out. It's like a quick shopping trip.
but like I'll talk about Age of
It's
Aquarius
like- it's-
telepathy forever.
Yeah,
you know.
like tier 4 is like tier 5. Okay, you know what tier 5 is like? You're on a long ass road trip. You've been driving for like 8 fucking hours. Okay, and
Or you've been podcasting for like 3.
you've been podcasting for 3 hours,
Yeah.
and you've got to drop a deuce. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but there is only the most horrible, disgusting rest stop you have ever seen in your life.
Yeah,
It
so you
serves
have to.
it serves a purpose,
Mhm.
but you're gonna get in, you're gonna get out, you're gonna do your business, you're gonna be done, you're gonna get what you need.
Yeah, I would say also
You're gonna leave what you need. Sorry.
tiers 4 and 5.
I heard your voice crack.
we're gonna finish this. I
going.
need to go to bed.
We're going. Yeah.
I would say tier 4 and 5 are also like a mix of things that I don't and do believe,
Mm,
whereas 2 and 3 is more in line with what I believe.
I see. I know this is hard for you, telling people what you actually do and don't believe.
No, not really. I'm pretty open.
You sure? You put a little spin on something. You try to match things to your audience. You know.
Yeah, I would say like I try to read the room and I try to also give myself plausible deniability when I think I need it.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
A little underhanded, don't you think?
yeah. Well, it's just strategic.
Yeah.
It's just smart. But like, yeah, some of these like, okay, reptilian bloodline. So this kind of ties into like dinosaurs were an experiment. It ties in a little bit to like the adrenochrome QAnon stuff.
Uh-huh.
It ties in also
Yeah.
a little bit to like the Lemurians and the Atlanteans.
I
and
got
whatever.
my second win. You're ready to go to bed. You're like, we got to get through this.
Well, but we're gonna get through it.
So Hillary Clinton is a reptilian.
That's what a lot of people would say.
Did they start saying that when they saw the sideways blink,
Yeah, it's like
or
kind
like
of,
the eye shape, or
yeah,
something?
exactly. It's kind of stuff where I'm like,
Or is it the
guys,
pantsuit? The pantsuit, the Hillary Clinton pantsuit, is very, very reptilian. It's like, reptile Hillary Clinton,
Mhm.
right? Like crash lands on Earth, and she needs to look like a human.
Mm-hmm.
And so like the Terminator in Terminator 2, she like just goes finds the nearest clothes she can find, but they're like off. And then that's her thing for the rest of her life, is wearing this like weird pantsuit that she literally found at the Goodwill.
Nevertheless, she persisted.
Now she's wearing like a $10,000 pantsuit, but it's still like, girl, you sure?
Yeah. I mean, I know what people mean when they talk about the reptilians, because it's like it is a bit like off. You know, it's like more like sociopath vibes to me. Like I wouldn't necessarily call them reptilian. I just think they're sociopaths.
Do we know any reptilians personally?
Not that I know of.
I have a candidate.
Who? Boop. Wait, who?
Boop. We can talk about it later.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's more just like sociopaths, like people that are dead behind the eyes, you know? Like they seem a little reptilian.
So you do subscribe to the NPC theory?
I think sociopaths are not NPCs.
Right.
Sociopaths are like, just there's something like broken in their like empathy emotional world.
Right, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I think it's a little different. I mean, one thing I have heard about the reptilian bloodlines is that they're being removed from the planet right now.
Why?
So experiments ending. Like we're in a transition time. Like there's some bloodlines that are leaving. And like they've been around for a little too long.
Oh, like maybe they tried to end the dinosaur experiment. Some got through.
Yeah, but they've been unable to intervene.
The galactic,
but now since we're ascending in consciousness, we might be able to eliminate them. I don't know. It's a little weird.
It could also be like a sort of astrological thing. Like, if there are greater astrological cycles than just the ones in the solar system, we could be coming into a time where the power of the Galactic Federation Council is like growing.
Yeah.
They're coming closer. They're sending their emissaries.
Right.
And then there's
more star seeds.
More star seeds, yeah. And they're able to finally end the experiment of the dinosaurs conclusively.
Yeah.
Does it end when Hillary Clinton dies?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, she's definitely up there.
Yeah. Who's your number one lizard person?
I think Hillary is an obvious.
Yeah.
She's just so. It's like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
But I kind of like her. I don't know. It's like I'm not even mad about. I feel like I'm not so like anti-reptile. Like everyone's like the reptilians. I'm like, is it the Jews or the reptilians, guys? Like pick. You know what I mean? Like it just feels a bit confused.
It's a little bit racist to hate the reptilians like that.
Yeah, I'm like whatever. Yeah. They're just doing their
What's
thing the best way they know how.
Anti-reptilianist reptile phobia.
Oh, there must be some sort of
they're like
afraid
reptile
of
phobia. Yeah, like snakes or whatever.
Yeah, reptile phobic. It's not cool, guys.
Yeah.
Similarly, Hitler alive in Antarctica.
Is he alive? Is he dead?
So the CIA docs did show that he was like recorded as being alive in Argentina. Did you see that?
Yeah, but like so many Germans fled to Argentina that like maybe some like
maybe he
CIA
snuck in there though.
Junior pencil pusher. Like I mean, it's possible.
He said, "Oh, that guy's Hitler, the guy who's supposed to be dead."
I mean, that junior CIA analyst that was making a bogus call thought he was breaking the news story of the century to his superiors.
Yeah, but that seems like a reasonable path on your way to Antarctica from Germany. Go Germany, Argentina to Antarctica.
True. So true, Queen.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't think Hitler's alive in Antarctica. As I said, I don't believe like Hyperboreans are still around. I don't believe in the hollow moon. Like this is like the dead end of like the World War II wasn't about the Holocaust. The World War II was about rediscovering Hyperborea.
But are the people who think that Hitler is alive in Antarctica, are they happy about it?
Yeah, they're like, oh, the Nazis are like still doing their thing.
Yeah,
like the Nazis were never doing it about the Jews. They were just doing it about the advanced technology.
Come on, guys. That shit didn't work out.
I know.
It didn't work out for the Jews. It didn't work out for the Germans. It didn't work out for anybody.
Yeah.
Some beautiful tanks were made for a brief period of time, and that was about the whole of it.
Actually, I will say the one part of it that I do maybe believe, I mean, not really, like, but it's like I'll entertain it. This is where it's like, I don't know, like, if someone really gave me a convincing argument, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
Is that the nukes that were dropped in Japan were not about bombing Japan. It was about trapping us in 3D consciousness.
Okay, spin that out for me, girl.
So basically, like they like what's the fucking Oppenheimer quote? Like, I am become death.
I am become death, destroyer of worlds.
Right. That like this was like an acknowledgement of like, oh fuck, like by igniting the nuke, it's not just like physical warfare, it's also spiritual warfare. Like you're fucking with the vibes of the entire planet, you know? And so basically, like by using the nukes and like dropping the bombs, as I said, World War II wasn't really about the Holocaust. It was about this other like spiritual warfare question. that by
The
like
spiritual warfare question.
yeah, it was about like ascending to the 5D or whatever.
That's funny because they say the Nazis always said the Jewish question. Like
The
the
spiritual warfare question.
Judenfrage,
Yeah.
like the Jewish question, and so it's like the spiritual warfare
The spiritual question. Yeah.
A friend of mine who's basically a misogynist. He kind of, I don't know, he's chill. He says die Frauenfrage, which is the woman question.
All right, we're gonna keep going.
We're gonna keep going.
I don't have a strong spiritual thesis on nuclear in general. Energy, bombs, fusion. I think there's something up there.
It's potent.
It's potent. Like, I don't understand, why is the Pope not talking about this? Like, why isn't the Pope like being like, hey, here's like the official Catholic sort of like, what's this called again?
Oh, well, I mean, you could say canon or like the official papal.
Like,
why doesn't the Pope issue a papal bull on the matter?
Yeah, like really, like why are we not like deeply spiritually considering these topics? Like we're kind of just like, oh, nukes are scary and like nuclear energy could be good, but it's scary. It's like, is there really no deeper? Like we kind of found God. Well, in a way, you know, we like broke the simulation a little bit.
The thing is that I think the Catholic Church has a position on nukes, and it's very shallow.
That's what I'm saying. I think
whether it's right or wrong, it's lame. They're like, nukes are bad.
Why don't we have
bad.
a deep spiritual thesis on nukes?
Yeah, like why doesn't the Pope go, nuclear weapons are spiritually interesting?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's super spiritually interesting, and I think we're so shallowly engaging with it.
Yeah.
So maybe
nuclear
bombs were intended to just trap us in the 3D. I don't know.
Why would it? What were we in before the 3D?
So we're in the 3D. The thing is that like human consciousness like wants to ascend. That's the idea, that we want to ascend.
And the nuclear explosions finally broke the link. It means we can't ascend anymore. It cut the link. Yeah. And
that's what they're doing with the 5G. That's what they're doing with the hollow moon.
Yeah,
like it's like all of the vibe stuff. It's all to keep us like spiritually down.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, there's a very pessimistic vibe about.
That's what I'm saying. I don't like this. I'm just like, really, like
that's the best you got.
I don't know. I just don't. I don't know. I don't relate. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe that's me being too love and light, but it's like I think I have a good balance.
Yeah. Damn, I'm gonna get the most BPDS girlfriend out of this episode. It's out of control.
That's very true. You're gonna get some DMs.
Yeah. Hit me up, ladies. Like, subscribe, send me a DM. Erin's not my girlfriend, by the way.
Yeah, could you not tell? Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Last ones.
Wait, Hitler, reptilian balloons, nuclear bomb traps in 3D. Reincarnation soul trap is interesting. I feel like obviously that goes with natal chart present sentence.
Yeah, they go together. Yeah. So reincarnation soul trap is basically the idea that the light that you see at the end of the tunnel is just trapping you in like a reincarnation loop.
Oh sure, the light.
And you have to ignore the light.
The light at the end of the tunnel is an oncoming train.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're supposed to step away from the light when you die.
Right.
And that's how you actually ascend.
What's the light?
The light is you reincarnating. You're trapped in hell again. You don't escape.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It's kind of fucked. You know?
Yeah.
Because it makes a lot of sense, right?
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, like you're attached to the light. You want one more
You want
to
believe that there's, you know, it's like, and you think like, oh, like, okay, I need to go back. Like.
What do you think happens after death?
I think reincarnation makes sense to me.
Yeah. Do we get out of it ever?
I don't know. That's where I'm like a little scared by this. I'm like, what happens when I die and then I see the light and like I choose what, you know?
I don't think that you, Erin Redwing, can make a wrong decision there.
That's so nice of you. Thank you.
I think if you choose the light, it's because you will want one more go.
Mm-hmm.
And if you choose the darkness, it's because you've had enough.
That's so beautiful, Casey. I love that. Thank you so much for saying that,
You're welcome.
Dr. Rodamore.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I have a few good insights.
I mean, natal chart prison sentence is kind of tied into this because natal chart prison sentence is this idea that like, if you go like really deep into astrology and take like a very like negative kind of like soul trap, you know, we're trapped here kind of perspective.
Yeah.
Then like basically your natal chart and like the karma that's implied by your natal chart is more like a prison sentence of reincarnation than it is like a, oh my God, I'm a Leo, which means I love X, Y, and Z. It's like, oh, like this is your sentence that you're serving. Like you have to pay off this karma.
Right.
You know?
Right.
The reason why I put it down here is because I just feel like it's the most negative interpretation of astrology, but I kind of think it's a little true. You know? Like I think that checks out.
Right.
Like if you're carrying karma over from past lives, then your natal chart is basically just like your sentencing document.
It's basically like there is no free will and your fate is written in the stars in a very dark, very negative way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
Which, again, I'm not super into.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, that's like a deep question in physics, too.
Yeah.
Like,
free will versus fate.
Free will versus fate, randomness versus determinism. Like, we don't exactly know. Like, I mean, this is where physics leaves a lot of room for this stuff. Is that, like, you know, as I alluded to before, things get weird the further down below the physics iceberg you go. And it leaves room for a lot of wacky interpretations. And sometimes we find out that one of those wacky interpretations is true. Yeah.
Yeah. Natal chart prison sentence. Physics proved it.
No, I don't think so. Physics is actually still very much out on that question, I would say.
Yeah, I think astrology is too. Like, I think there's like elements of fate and there's elements of free will. Where does
randomness come into astrology? Because it does seem like a belief system that's very much it's like, oh, it's written in the stars.
I think with astrology, this is like my interpretation, is like astrology tells you the energies that are available to you and you can choose what to do with it. You know, you don't have to ever act on anything. You don't have to ever like see through anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, but this is like, if you want to, these are the opportunities available to you.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
So it's more like it's like a hack is the way I think about it. Like a life pro tip. You know? It's like, oh, if you try looking at it this way, like that might be more aligned with your energy. And then you find like things flow easier.
Yeah, right. Huh.
But you don't have to. You can do it the hard way or you can do it however way you want.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The final one on the list, this is getting back to the Galactic Federation Council, which I think, like, as I said, that's like the thing that I think is the overarching interesting narrative of all of this.
Wow, yeah, you put the Galactic Federation Council right in the middle. Yeah.
But I feel like it is kind of like, it's like if you want to like think about like the overarching structure of the whole thing, that's like the one that I like believe in the most.
Yeah, I do think that it's sort of like a central tenet of like, is there something out there greater than us? Is such an enduring question throughout all of these lines of reasoning.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like it's like, also it just seems to me that like the thing that would be greater than us would probably just be like another bureaucracy. Like it's not going to be like a perfect God, you know?
Yeah. It reminds me of like watching Star Trek The Next Generation when I was a kid. Like it's this futuristic world where everything is like very like there's no money, like everything is like works and like, you know, the Federation is like really good almost all of the time and like some of the aliens are good, some of them are bad, whatever. But like as I got older, I was like, damn, they're fucking communists. Like I bet like, you know, there's no way the trains run on time. Like that shit's fucked up. There's no like innovation, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, I don't know, like yes, we want to ascend, but it's not like we're ascending into this like perfect realm of love and light. It's like we're just ascending to like a higher realm. That's what we're always doing. We're always just progressing, you know?
Yeah.
But the final point, Earth is on probation, Atlantean karma. This is basically the idea that like Atlantis fucked up, and we kind of already talked about it. Atlantis fucked up, and now the Galactic Federation Council doesn't talk to us. They like can't.
Oh, right.
You know, and so we have to pay off the karma from Atlantis.
Fucked up. Okay, it set off the first in a long chain of events.
Yeah.
Which led to the development. It led to the chaos that eventually became World War II. That led to the development of the nuclear weapons, which were dropped. That trapped us in 3D.
Yeah, we fucked up.
We've severed our one very weak link to the Galactic Federation Council, and Earth is on probation.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? Like Earth could be executed.
Yeah, it's like they can't really reach out to us. We can like try, you know, we can try to ascend into the 5D and get messages
or like
and
SETI
like
bullshit, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're all trying in our own ways, you know. And I do think the Galactic Federation Council is still rooting for us. Like they'd like us to turn the ship around.
I choose to believe that you know, there's an asteroid just around the corner.
Yeah.
That is gonna fly by, and you know the radio antenna is gonna line, and the Galactic Federation Council is gonna come through loud and clear.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say it's gonna hit us.
No.
That would be like the dinosaur ending.
No. It's a little asteroid. It's got some dude in like a radio shack, a shack with like radio equipment,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and he's like trying to like tune the link so that it can connect like us with the Galactic Federation Council.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's just close enough, then like bam, like then like, you know, we're gonna like the signal's gonna come through and it's like, oh my God, you guys are still out there. Like, and they're like, yeah, we are. We thought we lost you.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
2026 is really good astrology.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah,
Huh.
super positive. So I'm kind of like, whatever, it's fine.
That could be good if all the astrologers on Earth are like, this is gonna be a good year.
We're all resonating good vibe. We're like, okay,
Yeah.
like guys,
Yeah, we
this is a
gotta
good
channel
one.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
chill
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Like, come on, let's make the most of it.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, in general, like I will say on some levels we are repeating like Atlantean hubris, but I think like I don't know, there's also always opportunities to learn your lesson. Like you can always turn the ship around.
Yeah, true.
You know?
So true, Queen.
So, and if we fall like Atlantis, we just do it all over again 12,000 years from now.
Yeah, no biggie.
I'm still on the ship. You know, clearly. I'm still going for the light.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, totally.
I want the pleasure and the pain of existence.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you gotta have a little both.
I feel like you really understand me a lot deeper now after this.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think what I understand is that there's actually like interesting depth to your beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then also you. I mean, I guess the negative way would be to say you pick and choose what you think is true.
Mm-hmm.
That's the negative way of putting it. But the positive way of putting it is like, yeah, you just don't like resonate with stupid ideas, and you're like, no, that's probably not it. You know?
I'm truth seeking.
Yeah, you're truth seeking.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're truth seeking.
We're truth seeking. Should we talk about anything else before wwrapping it up?
No, I think
I'm
that's
so
it.
fucking tired.
Yeah.
I'm hungry now too.
Yeah, I fully got my second win. I'm locked in.
God damn.
Yeah. That's what you get when you're a night owl. You never
Yeah,
get like,
I don't get that.
No, yeah, I got like 8. I'm like, oh my God, I'm rearing to go.
Yeah,
you know?
it doesn't happen to me.
Yeah.
I even took a nap earlier.
Yeah, you took like a 2-hour
I
nap.
took a 2-hour nap. I'm still tired.
You were out. From Erin's point of view, she goes to bed and she's like, have fun, and I leave. And then I just show up, like I turn around and I walk
You
through the
woke
door
me
again.
up.
Yeah, I woke you up. I was like, yeah.
And then we locked in
We
and we
locked
delivered a
in.
really based episode of How Many Podcasts.
It may be the best yet. Tell us in the comments. if
They're
you think
gonna be
it's the
like,
best yet.
Jesus fucking Christ, I'm never watching again.
Subscribe. Tell us in the comments what you thought. I actually am interested in people's comments for this one.
Of course.
Yeah, like I want to know what do
Send
people
some
think
weird
about this.
DMs.
Yeah, and like, is Erin psyoping me? Have I been psyoped?
I hope so.
Yeah.
That's
Maybe
the
a little
goal.
bit. Yeah. Have I lost my rational, inquiring mind?
It's just another tool in your tool belt.
Yeah.
That's the way I think about it. I have a rational way of looking at things and I have like an irrational way of looking at things.
Yeah, I like
and I
that.
can switch. It doesn't like negate one or the other.
I mean, just like, you need rational and irrational numbers sometimes.
It's so true. Exactly.
Yeah.
You need the dark with the light, bro.
The dark with the light. Yeah. The soy with the sauce, the yin with the yang.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think that's enough
I think
from
that's
us.
about fucking
It's
it.
about fucking
We got to the
time.
bottom.
We're done. The CO2 monitor, crazily, the CO2 monitor has been going down the whole time.
Wow.
I guess
okay.
because the candles
the
are
windows,
burning out.
yeah. Mhm.
The big candle.
That was really what was doing it.
literal meltdown. And so now we're at 570. So we were getting progressively more lucid
Yeah.
as the episode progressed.
I think you can tell.
Yeah, I think you can. we got sharp there,
Yeah, we locked in.
Yeah, okay, so we're done.
All right, bye guys.
Do we have what's our sign off?
Come to Vegas.
Come to Vegas.
Buy the Open Ordinals
We've got
shirt.
surprises in Vegas.
Oh yeah, wait, Secret Alpha.
What they are is hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
We shall see.
good stuff though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gonna be good. Keep watching How Many Podcasts. Subscribe for more content.
Like, subscribe. Tell us what you want us to do the next. Tell us the next iceberg episode that you want us to do.
Make an iceberg for us.
Should we do a Bitcoin iceberg?
Yeah, we could do a Bitcoin iceberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we could do that.
Yep.
All right.
Later, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.